This was 7 people, and now it's 13. So
nice.
Yeah, I don't know what the happened, but I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be chaos. I love it.
Do we have any? Hey, Connor, how's it going, man?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm live, so no slurs, please. Okay.
Hello, Conor.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Hey, Wake, not even the N-word?
Not even the N-word, I'm sorry.
Damn.
Hello, all my Nigerian
1984.
brethren.
Well, I
Wow,
think
how's everyone doing?
Z and Steven might have identical points to me, so I might be hanging back a little bit tonight. Unless I hear something really egregious.
I was going to ask, are we going to declare sides here so we know who's what's going on this panel?
I think we got to like introduce
generally-
ourselves, and we put our positions afterward. So
Okay, sounds good.
Z Cohen, are you the
Yeah,
one?
any
Literally
right-wing
everyone in the call fucking agrees with one another. Holy shit.
that would be funny.
Jerk.
if we're 12 for 12 on agreement, if we're 12 for 12 on agreement, I'll just
That's the
switch
panel.
sides just to make the content.
What do you think? I agree. That's the panel.
No, unironically, I'll be like, "We need more transparency, okay?" Like, I'll
Yeah,
just
we gotta
start
find
freaking
something to
out.
disagree on, you know?
Yeah,
Are they any
I'll be the
right-wingers
lightning
here?
rod for you guys to beat up on. So I missed that last one.
Are there any right-wingers here?
I am.
Depends on your definition.
Yeah. I'm a
Yeah, I know
centrist.
you're like a
How does that count?
neocon.
Yeah, and trust me, like this topic is part of the reason why I hated Democrats for so long, is because it's like, oh, is somebody trying to succeed? I should backstab them instead of helping them, and that to me is just like Democrat politics summarized.
Well, today may be a good like dividing line
Hey, Audrey, how you
between
doing?
Democrats and socialists. So
To be clear,
Riley.
Connor really likes Warhammer, which makes him a fascist, just inherently.
Jesus
True.
Christ.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RGR Roundtable. I am your host,
All right,
Riley
yeah.
Grace Rochong, and these are our wonderful panelists. Say hi, wonderful panelists.
Hi,
Hello.
gentlemen. Hi.
I'm
Can
so
the
glad that
wonderful
there's more than
panelists
one.
have permission to turn on their camera? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, do you need permission to turn on your camera?
Oh, I sure do.
Yes, I do.
Yes, please.
Damn.
Okay. Let me
You see
figure
my
out.
pretty face.
All right. Well, then in that case, let me go ahead and technical difficulty figure out how to be able to do that. Oh wait, actually, I should know how. I'm gonna go ahead and now that I've been able to talk to you, so let's see.
Hold on.
All right. Now you should have permission.
I don't have
Hands
it.
up, y'all.
Yeah, can
All right, I'm going
I,
one by one. 2, let's see,
Oh, I have it now.
3,
Oh, hold on.
and there we go. All right. Is everyone good?
Yep.
Yeah.
I need permissions. Jola and
Jola?
Soy.
All right.
Oh, hold
Jola.
on. I forgot to enable
Yeah, Jola.
the funny thing.
All right, Jola, you should have permissions now. And Soy, you should be good. All right. We all good?
Yes,
Oh.
I am.
Then I'll go ahead and
Oh, here
pull
we are.
in-
Sweet. Oh, fuck. Why is it doing that?
Let's see. Sorry, 1 second. I'm trying to pull in.
Are we live yet?
Yeah, so
Yes, we are current.
This
I
is
know.
completely unprofessional.
There we
On
go.
my part.
Oh, there's more.
That I believe is the last person. So I'll go ahead and I'll do an opening really quick, or not like an opening, just like my spiel, and then we'll get right into it. So, for our panelists and people who are watching, we are live. This is the first in a series of political panelists that I would like to do on my platform. The show is heavily inspired by Dylan Burns' Hippy Dippy Roundtable, which is where many of your favorite political streamers got their starts and met other creators in the space. I don't know how this is going to go exactly since this is the first in the series, which is why I recruited so many people. So you can't blame me if the conversation is boring. There's going to be at least some interesting disagreement among the lot of you. But we're going to roll with the punches and try to have a bit of fun. So here are the rules. 1, if I'm talking, stop talking. I don't want to participate, so if I get involved, it's either to simulate conversation or to get things back on track. 2, be respectful of me. You can hate on each other, you can call names, do whatever, but I'm putting in a lot of work to make this happen, so don't make my life any harder than necessary. And 3, stay on topic. Related tangents are fine, but don't dig up like personal unrelated drama. And with that, let's go ahead and have our panelists briefly introduce themselves. And I have an order here. Z, thank you so much for joining us. Would you mind introducing yourself to the people who are watching?
Yeah, my name's Z, and I'm the founder of the Unfuck America Tour / National Ground Game that's taking on Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA.
Wonderful. Oh, and I'm also so sorry for the people who are watching. I might have muted myself on myself. Y'all can hear me fine, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Wonderful. Sorry for the people at home. Thank you for the people who are messaging me about it. Okay. Next, Destiny. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Destiny. I stream politics and video games and random stuff sometimes. And I do, center, left, whatever. Yeah.
Awesome. Next, the Soy Pill.
I'm the Soy Pill. I make video essays and I stream politics sometimes.
Cool. Next, Anne, or Leftist Blondie.
I'm Anne. I go by Leftist Blondie online. I am working with the Unfuck America Tour at the moment. That's my current project. I work with Planned Parenthood Generation Action as well at a university in Northern Florida.
Awesome. Next, we got Jola, Politics.
Howdy, I'm having technical difficulties. I'm Jola Politics. I'm on YouTube. I do a YouTube Shorts call-in show with a real phone number. So I get the wildest callers you could possibly imagine. Thank you for having me. I'll be right back when I fix my camera. Thank you.
Mine wasn't working too. I unplugged and plugged it back in. I know that's very condescending advice, but it worked.
Cool. Hope you can figure that out, but thank you so much for being here. Next, we got Wick.
Yeah, Wick from Wick TV.
Cool. Vincent.
Hello everybody. Hello Destiny and DGG. Hello Anne. Hello Counterpoints. I'm Vincent. My handle everywhere is RealVisigoth. It's RealVisigoth. It's everywhere. It's YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So I usually do pro-Ukraine content with occasional politics. So yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Next, we got, Conor, you're able to join. Conor, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name's Conor. I'm a science fiction political philosophy nerd, Marine Corps law enforcement veteran, never Trump Republican, and somebody who's trying to help the Democrats be less stupid with mixed results.
I love how efficient you are with your introduction. Thank you so much. Next, we got Corbin.
Hey, I'm Corbin Sales. I do YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You can find me all there. I do like center left content, videos, TikTok debates. That about covers my shit.
Cool. Then we got North.
Hey, I'm North. I'm a never Trump Republican, center right. So if you're to the left of me, you have a reason to hate me. And if you're to the right of me, you have a reason to hate me. You can find me on X at ThatGuyIsNorth. And you can find me on YouTube at NorthIsLive.
Cool. Then we got, and I don't know how to pronounce this, She's Right. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm online at She's Right Show, center left. I hate internet cancer. You can also stop real cancer by donating to St. Jude's.
Cool. Then we got Madden. Oh, Madden is not here. Sorry, missing one person. And then no echo chambers.
Hey, what's up? I'm Get Money Dre. I host No Echo Chambers Pod. I'm a center left content creator on TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And my show basically talks to all different kinds of people to understand their point of view. I am a big fan of human rights, so if you support human rights, then you should watch my show. And if you don't, then you can fuck off.
Great. Thank you all so much for being here. And with that, we're going to get right into it. So basically, I'm not going to read the whole spiel that I posted online. We're here to talk about the Taylor Lorenz article and the recent dark money discourse. And so really the main questions are, what do we make of everything that's been happening? Is there any merit to Taylor's claims? Is it possible that she was acting with malice or at least negligently? And what do we think of efforts like what Chorus is undertaking, such as funding smaller creators and helping them grow their platform? How we're going to do this is I'm going to go around and ask people in the same order, one by one, to give an opening statement. There's a lot of us, so we're not going to be able to probably to get to everybody. So once someone finishes their opening, I'll ask anyone if they want to respond to anything that the person who just spoke said. And if they do, we'll let conversation roll from there. So with that, Z, I think that you have a really interesting perspective on this. So would you be interested in giving kind of your thoughts on the matter?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot. Okay.
If you don't want to, that's totally fine.
Oh. Well, I'm just like curious, how many people are like, is everybody in the center left position here? Or
I try
just to make it more interesting.
I think so. I think this might be kind of boring conversation. I think everyone's like,
I'll make sure it's not
boring.
boring. Don't worry. I'll start fighting you.
Yeah,
if you guys
I'm center right, but I think I'm going to agree with most of y'all. So
Jesus.
I have
I'm a
couple
little
of-
bit further left than center left, but I'm not like a leftist or a communist or any of that
We wouldn't
shit.
get any like fascists or tankies in
Yeah,
here.
we needed some
or
tankies in here to spice
I
it
can be
up.
your fascist for the
Boring.
evening. I got you perfectly covered. I can steelman the opposite argument if you want.
So let me say, all right, I will put out there. I tried hard to get like the farther left people. I went on TikTok and I was able to get a couple of them the other day. I did try to. All right. So this is my best efforts. All right.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
reached
you
out to
have
like
a-
To fight, because I'll give you something to fight.
I reached out to
I'll-
like 3 or 4 people too. No progressive far left person wanted to join. It was really fucking
Okay,
irritating.
I'll give you guys the thing to fight.
I'll be
Okay,
the
even if we end up
spirit
agreeing.
progressive. How about that?
May I?
Go for it.
So,
Go for it, Conor.
Wick and I were involved in the PV drama last year, 2 years ago, effectively where we were accused of the same thing, of being involved with dark money, and it was opaque, and nobody knew who the funders were, and all that kind of crap. We were stuck into the same thing, okay? Now, what I think was Beckett of Crab's criticism, which I think is the strongest criticism available, is that this should be made as transparent as possible. And effectively, everybody should be broadcasting whether or not they're getting paid, because, of course, that's going to, you should be honest with your biases and transparent with your biases. And I think that like one video, one advertisement, one website that nobody has heard of, that's insufficient for the audience to not feel like they're getting tricked. And so as a result, I think that it's incumbent upon creators to transparently communicate who they're working with and why, who's paying them and why, and what their deliverables are. Otherwise, we're going to have this discourse another dozen times over the next 2 years.
I can
Go for it.
I was gonna say I can agree with that, Connor, but I think when it pertains to specifically the chorus drama, it seems like everything was pretty open and relatively transparent about like who was receiving money. Like I don't think they denied not receiving money from the 1360 fund.
1630.
1630. Or 16, yeah, whatever.
Was anybody
okay,
was anybody here in the chorus group or no?
I'm not.
No.
No.
Yeah,
We should have got like
wouldn't
one
want
side.
Fuck disclosures. Fuck
Poop on
disclosures. If somebody wants disclosures to happen, then somebody needs to change the laws around either mainstream media, alternative media, or all media that covers politics in the U.S., where everybody's forced to disclose. I don't think that it's fair or reasonable to demand some fucking, no offense, but some content creator getting paid like $800 a month net, like from all of his earnings, to have to disclose that he's like a bought and paid for dark money shill. While people like Taylor Lorenz or the Majority Report or other people can run around raising however much money from the background, not having to disclose any of their income sources, not revealing any, but like that's bullshit. It's either all or nothing. So when all of these other content creators are publicly making like disclosures, not that I have to go dig for, because remember we said it's not enough for them to say one thing at one point. Until that's happening, then fuck that. The standards need to be the same, or or not at all.
Can we
Nobody cares
look?
about,
I
like,
just want to say
charts
just
for
real
doing
quick.
this.
The
That way.
fact. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right,
The
wait,
fact that-
then Anne.
Sure. We should not be treating these as honest criticisms. Let's be clear. The people who are attacking Chorus, 90% of them are not honest in their criticisms. They're demanding a transparency that works
People like
one
Hassan.
way. So I just, to look at this and try to kind of try to tackle it as if they're being good faith, I think is a mistake. We just need to realize that these people, Taylor Lorenz, the Vanguard, all these fucks, they are active enemies to liberalism and the Democratic Party, and we should treat them as such.
How do you contend with the fact that 10%? We just had this debate maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago with Sock Done Left, right? Not Sock Done Left. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's Sucked and Left. That's his name.
I'm
right?
being
Yeah,
racist against socialists. Econoboy. So we just had this conversation with Econoboy a little bit ago, okay? And his point though is that 10% of the Democratic Party identifies as quote unquote very liberal, which I'm assuming means progressive because nobody knows what words means anymore. And then 10% of the party, additional 10% of the party identifies as socialists. Now let's be real, they also don't know what socialism means. They probably just means it's Scandinavians. But at the same time, like if we have 12, liberals and progressives in a single chat who are all saying like, fuck 20% of the party, we don't need them to win, I think you're kind of delusional. This is where I told Steven, like, I think we need a center-left, center-right coalition. And he's like, nah, fuck it. The liberals have it. And I was like, I think that's hubris.
We just need a coalition big enough to defeat Trump and shit. Like, we don't need we could if we get the far left in our coalition, great. If we get the center right, great. We just need to win.
but you need to market to those people. And by the way,
That is
you
true.
have ineffective marketing because I'm saying shut up about guns, and yet Adam Kinzinger, the Republican who was a never Trump Republican, probably the best example of a never Trump Republican, after the most recent mass shooting, he was talking about gun control. So the marketing sucks, probably because he's
That is
going to be a
true.
Democrat in the next year.
People love guns here in America. We need to be able to market to them. You're not going to win elections saying no guns. You just won't.
I need to talk about this disclosure thing that Destiny mentioned, because I mean, I didn't think I'd be arguing on this side of things. I'm very much anti this article and have a bunch of evidence, and that's why I came prepared to talk about. But the idea that disclosure matters and like it's this zero-sum game, like we all have to do it or none of us have to do it. The reason that people are upset about this, and I think this is okay to be upset about, regardless of why this upsetness might come from misleading or you know, kind of not so true claims, is that I'm echoing on your side, Ann. Can you please mute? Thank you. Is that basically there's this aura of authenticity that comes from some of these creators, and if it comes out that you were not disclosing that you were paid by people, even though that probably, in my opinion, doesn't change your opinions, it does hurt your credibility with your audience. As far as I know, Majority Report completely discloses all of their you know, funding as advertisers because they read them on the show. I don't know if they get backdoor funding, maybe they do, but I think people are just kind of scrambling to say, hey, if you get funding, please just let me know. Now, I don't think that's the goal of this article. I think this article goes way further and makes a bunch of dishonest claims that are like, hey, people were being paid to toe the party line, people were changing their opinions. The 1630 Project itself is a dark money fund insofar as a lot of their donors don't disclose. A lot of them do, including one of the donors who gave money to Taylor Lance's reporter cohort, and they also make it part of their mission to make it illegal to not disclose your donations. So it's kind of funny that at all this is a controversy, especially because I learned that from the article link. But insofar as people want people to disclose, I think that's a very valid concern to have.
I think the problem with demanding disclosure is, one, I'm sure we'll get into this later, I don't even believe that dark money is a real term. I think it's like a fictitious term that people throw around because it sounds spooky. But two, like earlier, I think Conor was the one who brought up the idea that like the disclosure can't just be one time because people are going to say, oh, well, we didn't see that. You can go to the Majority Report sponsor page and see sponsors, but like, I mean, I don't know how much each of these people give, right? Like, let's say hypothetically on the sponsor page for the Majority Report, what if all of these sponsors gave $100 a month, but Liquid IV gives $10,000 a month? And let's say that, you know, the Majority Report ends up taking a strange, you know, like vaccine position. And if I would have found out that Liquid IV, which I'm guessing is like some supplement vitamin thing, was donating so much, well, maybe that would change the way how I feel about their coverage, you know, and it might, you know, and it would for some people. So like this, again, like if we're going to do disclosures, it needs to be standardized.
I want to be clear.
Yeah, okay.
I agree with this completely because a lot of the criticism, especially that I've been getting DMs is, oh, they didn't disclose it enough, or, oh, they disclosed it on this stream, but not as a video. And the idea that we should be saying the exact denominations of every amount from every single person, I think is really ridiculous. I think it's totally fine to just say, hey, I'm working with these people. Sometimes they help me out. That's all that needs to happen. The drummed up controversy stuff is overblown for sure, but I don't think that it is a wrong concern to say people should disclose that I'm working with this group and maybe they pay me. But
we're talking about
transparency people are demanding is a little ridiculous.
We're talking about like a 6-month cohort, right? And I want to ask Z to explain what a 501c4 is, but in a 6-month cohort, that's not any way tied to someone's profession or like a long-term financial ties to help young creators get off the ground. And we keep on missing that point, the 501c4 designation. And it's actually crazy right now too, because the Trump IRS is going to be going after 501c3s and c4s that do work they don't like. So this is also putting them in the sights of the Trump admin, I'm sure. But can you explain, Z, a little bit about like how the C4 functions? Because I don't think people know.
Yeah, so I mean, the C4 basically can like legally engage directly with the campaign, where a C3 cannot. So that's why a lot of people choose to do C4s, which makes sense. So this whole idea of just like, oh, we'll just get rid of them. Well, then you can't do like direct campaign work. So that's just
Wait, hold on, wait.
I would think.
C4s?
C4s, yeah.
I thought
they can engage it.
I thought the point of the C4s is the C4s have to be set up as like social welfare nonprofits, basically. So the advantage is that they can raise basically an infinite amount of money. A C4 and a C3 doesn't have to do FEC filings, and the C4s, the people that donate to them, if they get money from like a corporation, like a shell corporation, obviously those people don't have to do disclosures or whatever. But I thought the C4s were still. Are they allowed to do direct work by the campaigns? Is that only prohibited by like the 527s or?
So C4s can, but and obviously people would have different reasons for setting them up, right? So like that's obviously going to be like a big reason why they might choose that. But as far as I'm aware, C4s can engage in political campaigns directly, whereby C3s cannot.
Gotcha. Okay, for the C4, is it they have the majority of their funding has to go to some social welfare thing, and then some other percentage can go directly for campaigns? Is that how I don't know what counts as like a social welfare thing?
It's not necessarily about that. It's just about like whether they can engage directly with a campaign or not. So how they split up the funding doesn't matter, but like a C3, you can't, for example, call a campaign manager on a campaign and say like, hey, we're going to go do this field program. Like you can't do that.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
a C4, yeah. So a lot of people
But
choose
they can't spend on electioneering, right? So they can't like say we're working on behalf of a campaign. So like if they do 60% work for the public good and then 40% work politically, they can put an ad out that says like, oh, I'm anti Elon Musk and his Doge department ripping apart the federal government. But they can't say I'm doing this on behalf of the Cory Booker campaign, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, basically. So like they can, for example, like if you had like a slate of candidates that you endorsed, right? And it was based on environmental justice, like all these candidates believe in some form of environmental justice, you're an environmental justice organization, you can still campaign on that behalf, right? Like you're allowed to do that, but you cannot directly coordinate with the campaigns.
501c4s have more political leeway because they're supposed to be primarily social welfare organizations, but they've argued that as long as their primary purpose is still social welfare, they can be engaged politically to the ends of furthering that social welfare cause.
Do we think that's bad?
No.
Does anyone think that's
okay,
bad?
I got a spicy opinion. Maybe this will change things up. All right.
Well, I mean, I think there are things that can be bad about that, right? I feel like the issue is people get like really hung up on the dark money or the sourcing, but I feel like the issue is the fact that the C4 can raise an infinite amount of money, right? There's not like a contribution limit. And I think that's the issue that people have, right? So if I wanted to support, there's like a pro-vaccine candidate and an anti-vaxxer candidate, I'm FEC campaign contribution limited on donating to them, or like a 527 PAC. But if there was a C4, 501c4 company that was like, oh, we hate vaccines, I could raise $100 trillion with that and just spend on anti-vaccine messaging that's ostensibly, or basically supporting one candidate. So I think that's like the weird thing about it, right? Is that you can raise basically an infinite amount of money for it.
But what is entirely negative about that? If a group of people want to get together and raise funds and pool their resources in order to advocate for a cause, why should there be a cap on that? If we have 100 million people in the United States that each want to give $1 to vaccine awareness or something, right? And a cause that they believe in, why should the government or the federal government step in and say, no, I don't think you can do that in this case?
I mean, because
I
that
have
way
a very
the
good pushback against this, but I need to ask before I start going on the other side of this argument: is anyone here pro the article, or are we all on the same page?
Nah, fuck that.
I think we're all on this.
Okay, hold on. I have a
We're just getting into like.
I have a question for the panel.
Let me, North and then Anne, because I know Anne, you've also been trying to speak a couple times. So North, go ahead.
Okay, so Course was like founded to fund specific types of content creators, like those that are more pro-democratic values. If a content creator stopped promoting those values, should it be okay for Chorus to essentially stop funding them or like threaten to stop funding them?
I mean, yeah.
Why not?
Anyone disagree with that?
Because they're paying you the money to do a job, and if you don't do the job, if you quit the job, then why would they continue to pay you?
Well, the content creators, of course, are going out of their way to basically say Course is not funding us to push the party line or anything like that. So
yeah, they're actually not paying you to do a job. They're paying you because they're trying to prop up and spread progressive voices. But they're saying if you use this money to, denounce the people giving you money, you can talk about us, but if you're going to like completely subvert our entire political campaign, then we're going to stop funding you, which makes perfect sense.
I mean, you pay them to continue to post progressive pro them. So like, technically, if you stop like being for them, they're not going to continue to fund you, and since they pay you the money, they have every right to take it away.
I feel like we've stumbled into the awkward conundrum that is like the 501c4 issue, right? Like what what even counts as that. Like, because they're not paying you to make political content. I'm sure they explicitly say that in the contract. They have to, because there would be like campaign contribution like issues here. But like they kind of are. Right? Like, you know, like if a boss fires somebody because the person is racist or sexist, oftentimes those firings aren't going to be the boss saying, I'm firing you because I'm racist. I'm firing you because I'm sexist, you know? So it's like the way that these are all structured are kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but it's just like the legal tax / FEC system we live in right now.
A lot of the people
That's the
think
strongest argument, though, right there.
Yeah.
So as an example, I think that somebody found a course creator who specifically was anti-Israel and made anti-Israel content and didn't get fired.
Yeah.
But the indictment was, of course, that like, hey, there could be this soft pressure where you might notice that somebody says, oh, our values are no longer aligned, you're dismissed from this program. And then that becomes a soft pressure in order to quote unquote toe the party line. And that, that's obviously the difficulty with this creator incubator programs is you don't know who's going to be, you don't know who's going to be successful and who's going to be a dirtbag when you start. But that's where you have that awkward pressure of I want to do enough to earn my money, but I don't want to step out of line and then lose my contract, especially with smaller creators, right? Because bigger creators can basically do whatever the fuck they want because they have enough money to be independent. But with smaller creators who are coming up, they're going to be more likely to be sympathetic to their donors' desires. That's the criticism right there.
It's not just small creators, though. They're also trying to build people from the ground up, right? So... like these people might not even have a previous audience to like fall back on, like where they started.
The honest worry with this, just real quick, the honest criticism is that people worry that if you are getting paid by these groups, that you are incentivized not to change your position, even though you might change your position naturally, and that it will stick you in. You say, I can't say anything negative about who I think that Chorus would be mad at me for saying something negative about, so I'm just going to shut up. And I think that that's the most like honest criticism that I've heard of this. But anyway,
I think that's briefly cutting in. Sorry, Anne, did you want to say anything? I thought you were trying to jump in a couple of times. I just want to make sure you get an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, I don't even know why conservatives are mad about this, or anyone really who's like libertarian or non-left leaning. Aren't they all for deregulation? Like, if you just want to work somewhere else, like, aren't you just responsible for going and finding another employer? I don't understand this. And the problem with funding things like C4s is that those things have a heavy impact on elections. So it wouldn't be a problem if they're not endorsing or saying they're against some political candidate. I don't know why it just can't be regulated for a C4 and not regulated for others. I don't understand that. Just go find another employer.
So I'm interested Sorry, Conor, and we might be of the same mind. I'm interested in having you all explore this a little bit more. What Conor and what Wick and y'all were talking about with the kind of, it's like an audience capture sort of issue, right?
Yeah, Conor is in a really unique spot here because because you're doing other stuff right now. I feel like there is. There's this interesting, a lot of things are repeated when it comes to dark money or when it comes to corporate capture or whatever that are like truisms. But I think that if you ask content creators, you can actually get surprisingly like opposite answers of what people assume to be true. So for instance, there's this idea that if you get paid money from some individual or from some sponsor or whatever, that you're all of a sudden beholden to that person. But I know personally, and I'm not necessarily referring to Conor here, you can speak or anybody else can. Personally, like sometimes when people get huge, amounts of money from a sponsor or from some particular person, that actually gives them more freedom to work on a project. Because sometimes you can get hardcore audience captured from like, God, I have to talk about, Hassan again. I have to talk about Gaza. I have to talk about this DNC thing. But like having some sponsors like, oh my God, as long as I hit these activations, like I'm actually free to talk about so many different things. Now, that's not to say that like a sponsor could never pressure you to talk about something or to keep something open. But I don't like the assumption that absent some individual sponsor's pressure, there's no soft pressure, especially today on the internet with cancel culture and, people pressuring people to talk about everything else. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of different pressure that exists, and people need to be a little bit more honest about, not that you guys are lying, about like what kinds of pressures exist, and that just because there's not a corporate sponsor doesn't mean there's not a fuck ton of soft and sometimes even hard pressure to work on certain issues.
Piggyback off that.
Yeah, I think
for 1 second just about the 501c4 status though. So if they had a point where they were telling people what to do and how to do it, they would lose their 501c4 status. If that was ever proven that someone got kicked off for not covering a certain topic, or if there's even an idea that was happening, the C4 status kind of protects that from happening. And that's why they have to do more service and do trainings and do it training based and pay people based off doing trainings versus doing like actual pieces for the media.
Well, I'll say,
and then there's this.
Sorry, You're saying for regulating a content creator in that way, you're saying that they would lose a C4 status?
100%, because that was tipping. It would be majority political. It would no longer be a public service thing. So that tax exemption status would probably go away. Then they'd probably lose it.
What is majority political?
So like if they were telling someone, that's why when Chorus says you can, if you're speaking on behalf of Chorus or doing something with our materials, then we need to sign off on it, because they can't be represented in a fashion where it's like we are purposely pushing the Democratic Party in this way to support Gaza, or this person was working for us and we promised them a training on how to become a creator from the bottom. And we're going to teach them thumbnails and all this kind of stuff. But we found out their position changed on something, so we kicked them out. The whole point of the 501c4 is the majority is the training portion. It's not going to be majority political. If it was majority political, it would need to be a PAC at that point.
Yeah.
There's another thing that can be talked about. This is the dark woke argument. The Heritage Foundation, Turning Point USA, these are MAGA right-wing organizations that basically do what Chorus does, but even worse. I mean, there's a Washington Post article talking about how Turning Point USA was literally directly paying people to promote certain content. Should the Democrats be doing this as a response to the right and as a response to MAGA, or do you take the moral high ground?
I don't know if it's not if it's
you absolutely should be
not
paying people.
immoral. It's not immoral, right? I don't think it's immoral to take money, to have someone give you money so you can keep doing what you're already doing. My issues might come, like there might be some issue if people can point out to me where Chorus or any other group is paying people and they're saying, hey, change your content and get your money, right? So change your content. If you can point to me a change in content, if you can point to me where they're getting foreign funding that they're not reporting, so like from Russia or China, I might have an issue there. Or if you can point to me where they are saying specifically, hey, do not disclose that you work with us. In those three cases, we might have a problem. But in these cases, none of this is happening, or at least I've not seen any evidence that it is.
Well, Wick, just to be clear, like to steelman the argument against this, it's not.
Please.
Well, to be fair, there are people that are accusing Chorus of telling them what to do. I don't think I've seen any evidence of that. But what will happen is, and like for example, I'm taking part in this thing called like the DNC, creator room, and every day they have like, hey, this is what's happened to the news. We just wanted to let you know. They're not telling anyone to make money. They're not paying us anything, but they are giving us resources and trying to keep us informed. And if people use that as their primary source of what they're reporting on, they're going to get exactly what the DNC is giving them. Now, if that's responsible and have different sources on news and make sure they're not catering to the people that are funding them. But you got to understand, I have to push back on what Destiny said. If you are someone who are these people that are getting funded by Chorus who said, I quit my full-time job to do this, which by the way is something I did recently, that is a big step. And if you know that were I to at all cross these people, I would lose my ability to do what I'm doing full time, have to go back into the job market, and potentially might be unemployed to a point of, I don't know, like severe financial ruin. You're going to feel pressure regardless.
Yeah, but how is that
pressure? Your primary source of income?
Sure. How is that pressure or incentive any different when it comes from Chorus or a group like that than when it comes from your audience? I know
that is true. No, and I agree with Destiny's point on that. If you have an audience that's like, let's say you're in the far left space and you just happen to push back on a very specific anti-Israel narrative, you might feel less inclined to do something like that. And I'm not trying to diminish that is another pressure, but I am saying that if you're receiving monthly stipends, that is your full-time payment that you otherwise would not be able to make this content, you're going to feel a little pressure regardless of how much that is implicated or like, darkly, scandally, like these people are like pushing it on you. It's just inherently going to be that way because it's your only source of income.
Soy Pill, do you know how long the cohorts are for?
Oh, all right, hold on.
I think there's 6 months, right?
And the rest of you.
If it's 6 months, that's not even a worry then.
It's a training program, right? It's a training program, so I think they're trying to
pro Chorus. I applied last week. I'm just trying to like give the idea of like why people might be worried about this. Although again, the article I think is going way further than any of these arguments that I've laid out. It's saying a lot of much more awful things.
Yeah, but
I think I was going to be debating against that, so I've got all the notes on that specifically.
Bring it back to a point with the.
Hold on, wait, sorry. Before you go, Anne, you're saying something just so we don't lose the point. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm getting drowned out. I have a shitty mic, but how would this be any different from a different job? Like if I go to work for some company and I don't know, I'm producing something for them, and then they say, hey, by the way, if you like go around doing shit that we don't like publicly, we're gonna fire you. You lose your job at that point, just like you would lose your job with this. I don't.
Because this job is sharing your opinion, and especially with the alternative media, I'm not saying this is a fair expectation. I'm just saying it's an expectation. When you're an MSNBC pundit or a Fox News pundit or whatever, it's expected that you're going to follow your institution's bias. Whereas you're saying like, hey, I'm Conor, I'm this guy, this is my ideology, burp, burp, derp. Then what they're expecting is that you're some level of authentic. And so that's kind of where like the credibility comes in.
You don't think that conservatives...
Sorry, go ahead.
Just to address that, you don't think that conservatives think that people on Fox News are actually holding those opinions?
You know what? I think conservatives are so stupid they might actually genuinely believe that that's their earnestly held opinions. However, I think they're stupid for believing that.
Well, it might depend on
I mean, just ask any conservative in my life. Like, I can literally call someone up right now and be like, "Do you think that like the people on Fox News believe what they're saying?" And they'll probably say yes. And I guarantee you, a lot of them actually do.
Does it matter if they believe or not?
Well, it might depend on how
their audience.
It might depend on how explicitly you hang like your sponsors and your audience's face, right? Or your funders and your audience's face, right?
And the point is, if you're saying I'm authentic and I tell it like it is, like Conor was saying, but your authenticity only goes so far as you're willing to agree with the people paying you, then you're not authentic and you're diluting your audience. Which again, I don't think
we see that with political. We see that with political tribalism, though.
How is this any different than if like I don't know what kind of words I can say, if somebody doing like OF acts as if they're like, in love with some customer or something? Like, that's not authentic, but they're acting authentic.
I would say it's not different.
Surely your waiter at the restaurant does not give a shit
that would
about
still
your life.
Be immoral, though, right? Like, even if it's not illegal, it's immoral.
Okay, whatever. We'll pull the sex work out of it because I know everybody gets triggered over that. But like, just take your waiter at a restaurant, like Cracker Barrel. They don't give a shit about your life. They don't care about your dog. They don't care about your baby sitting in the chair. Like, they don't care about any of that, but they're pretending to be authentic, and no one cares about that.
Never loved you.
Oh shit! I was an ex-care about that, and I did care about my
stripper said she loved me.
Dogs.
Okay.
I would disagree with that. I would not. I didn't give a shit about my clients at all when I was serving. I was being nice to them as part of the job.
Dan, you guys are shitty servers. I was like,
it was a
please pull
job.
pictures
I
of your
can't care
dogs.
about
I want to take a look at your shitty dog.
It depends.
I try to be nice and whatever, but I'm an authentic person, but I try my best to be nice to people because people need to be nice to each other.
Okay, so,
right?
so hold on. I don't. If we're not, I agree with you that in spirit that it's not different than any legacy media creator having a bias towards their institution, and that the audience needs to grow up. However, I think that, like, similar to your question where somebody was like, "Oh, do you believe that the people who watch Fox News think that those are earnestly held opinions?" How do you communicate that to the audience? Because if we look at the Twitter mentions right now, I know Twitter isn't a perfect barometer, but on Twitter right now, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of people who are upset because they think that their favorite liberal or progressive creator is not approaching them from an authentic direction.
Look, that is not an authentic
but how do you communicate that?
That is not an authentic. It's not real.
Well, I think the audience might be real. I think the Taylor Lorenz might not be real, but the audience that's upset
I don't
might
think
be
they
real.
are.
I think some people. I think some people.
I
think some people can be upset. Okay, wait. She's right. Was trying to talk like 12 times.
Yeah. Go ahead, she's right.
Thanks. Yeah, different people go into different experiences with different expectations. Anyone who's branded as an influencer, those audiences are expecting authenticity. To your waiter, you expect them to be nice, but you don't actually expect them to be authentic, and that's why you're not upset when they're not. With news, it's not
think that's true at all.
It's truthfulness and reliability.
And I think there's something.
True at all.
I think there's an extra thing at play here. So when we bring up the Fox News example, it's not hitting on the same thing. Like, if it came out for the Fox News guys that every single Fox News host was also sponsored by some conservative, we could pretend to care some conservative company, but I think nobody would care. But like, let's say tomorrow it came out that every single like centrist podcast that all happen to bend towards Trump, what if it came out tomorrow that all of them were also sponsored by like the Koch brothers? We're paying like 50% of their salaries. I think everybody would like look at it meaningfully differently, because the assumption would be, well, hold on, wait, I thought you guys didn't have a certain political influence or partisanship, but all of you guys are getting paid money from like the same place. I think you'd look at it a bit differently. I think this issue isn't mapping onto those examples well, because everybody with Chorus, I'm assuming from what I know, are all like liberal left-leaning creators. So it doesn't seem likely that they would be getting paid to change their opinion anyway. They're probably just finding people already who happen to agree with those opinions.
Yeah,
aren't they trying to maintain a facade of nonpartisanship though? Like that's like on their website, if I'm remembering.
If you call yourself a liberal, I mean,
Yeah,
like openly call
I'm
yourself a
pretty sure.
progressive or liberal. Like, I don't know if you would call yourself like non-partisan.
All it says is we have these. It says we have these values. Okay, we have these values. If you have shared values, we want to give you the tools to start a media operation for yourself to be self-sustaining. Okay, if you share these values, it says nothing about parties or supporting parties. And when Brian Tyler Cohen goes on and he says we can't coordinate with a party or toe the party line, it's because they literally cannot do it legally. Their lawyers will tell them they can't do that as a 501c4. And all these lefties on Twitter don't give a shit at all about the classification, which is why this conversation, even having it, is a loss because they're not saying real rational points to respond to. I think someone else brought that up earlier.
Yeah, the reason I have such a the reason I have such like strong opinions on this is because this isn't my first rodeo with these kinds of accusations, right? And Conor can back me up here. And when we were in Progressive Victory, I on every single stream I did had like paid for by Progressive Victory, like contracted with Progressive Victory, right? I was as forthcoming with it and disclosing it as I possibly could be. And it was never enough. It's not enough.
Let's get Beckett on here. Let's see if he agrees with your characterization.
Of course, because he's going to dishonestly, in my opinion, paint this as something shadowy because they are using it as a weapon. It's Taylor Lorenz and her cohort are using it as a weapon against liberals because they hate liberals for a variety of reasons. These are not honest actors. Let's stop treating them as they are, please.
Then fine. Let me shift the conversation to the dynamic that you guys are talking about because it sounds like we have enough overlap that we're ultimately fighting about window dressing, okay? So you're saying, and Steve and I talked about this a couple of days ago, that this is not an Democrats in successful Democratic creators or liberal creators to groom in a positive way other up-and-coming liberal creators in order to become successful is not a controversy. It's actually stupid that this is a controversy. It's not good faith, okay? Let's say that we all agree with that, relatively speaking.
Hell yeah.
Okay, but now what Steven is saying, and some other people are saying, is we don't need these people, fuck these people. But the argument from the far left and the progressives is that they are between 10 and 20% of the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party lost the last election by tens of thousands of votes.
I don't believe their numbers. Okay, so that's one. And two, I would posit that by getting rid of them, the albatross around our neck, it will allow people who are scared of those people on the center and the center right to once again join the fold that had previously left. We would gain more than we lose.
Okay, is there nothing of value from leftists or progressives? And so, for instance, like as an example, I'm a former law enforcement officer. I should be the first person who hates, police reform or whatever. But I don't, because there's plenty of stupid shit that cops do all the fucking time that should probably be legislated against. And so as a result, the progressives, the BLM movement, totally fucking stupid. Defund the police, totally stupid. But is there something productive there where they're pointing to a real problem that should be addressed by Democratic legislatures? Because let's face it, the Republicans aren't going to do shit about it.
Okay, what issue is that?
There.
What issue are they pointing to that needs to be addressed that you find valid?
I would obviously say universal body cameras, like federally.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about police reform. I'm talking about funding in the leftists' criticisms of liberals. What are they pointing to that's honest that you think that they need to change?
Oh, I can speak on this because
for this
you
specific
talked
drama.
about this earlier. Go ahead, Conor. Sorry.
Yeah. Just I'll address it. I'll try to be brief. For this specific drama, I do not think that there is anything that I would concede to these what we think are bad faith critics. However, their bases still care about progressive and further left economic and social issues that you do need to address if you want to attract the voters away from these shitty pundits.
Okay, I want to
she's right. I know that you
address
raised
you
your
with
hand.
though.
Sorry, wait, 1 second. She's right. I know that because you haven't had a lot of opportunity to speak. I know that you wanted to say something.
I lost my thought. I'll catch up.
Oh, okay, sorry. Keep going.
So specifically, and I heard some people saying like, oh, what is dark money really an issue? The issue with dark money is not the idea that like, oh, it's potentially going to shift people's opinions. Dark money is just, hey, we don't know where this is coming from. And that means that potentially this could be huge sums of money that are like paying people to say things that they may or may not believe that if you look if you read Dark Money by Jane Mayer, like you can see that there's tons of small elections across the country with millions and millions and millions, if not billions of dollars coming from Koch brothers, wherever, that are completely transformed because you're able to pay for all these things that do work in these small time elections, like ads, like campaigning, like all this stuff that you wouldn't otherwise see. And it's not directly like, oh, I'm paying for this ad, but the way that they're able to spread this out is shifting House seats. It is shifting certain things. Now, people like to say, oh, I gave Ted Cruz $10 million. Now he's pro-oil. That's probably not what's happening. Ted Cruz is pro-oil, and he gets $10 million because he is pro-oil. So the issue, the only valid criticism I think any of this stuff is from the left is, hey, we should know who's giving these people money. And that's it. Now, the great part about that is 1630 is advocating for the overturn of Citizens United, so you can't not disclose who you are when you give this money. So even though they are a dark money fund with like $400 million, they're saying, hey, we want to get rid of this. Right now, our donors are allowed to say not who they are. We want that eventually to go away. So I'm fine with it.
First of all, I am pro Citizens United. I think that was a rightly decided case. I don't know if anyone disagrees with me here.
I would disagree.
Okay, well then good. We have some disagreement. We can go. The whole thing about Citizens United is, again, I'm going to ask this question again. Like, what is wrong, fundamentally immoral, or what should be illegal about a group of people getting together, pooling their resources, and putting those resources to causes that they care about? Is that not free speech? And in addition, why would they need to why can't they do this anonymously? Say I wanted to donate to Soypill, and say Soypill had a lot of baggage that I might be embarrassed to donate to Soypill, right? They found his they found his memoirs about what he wanted to do to all the, Muslims and things like that, right? I don't know, right? Some kind of scandal. But I still believed in what Soypill wanted to say, and I wanted to give him money, but I was afraid that if I was to give him money and people would find out, that people would harass me and target me and these things. So why should I not be able to anonymously give to him, right? In order to
be
help
clear,
him
Wick,
out.
you can anonymously give to me by insofar as you just make a random YouTube account that's not linked to your name and super chat me, right? And you should, because I've super chatted you a lot and you still haven't bought YouTube Premium. So that's an issue on its own. The actual problem is that when you have this dark money stuff and you have Citizens United, the amount of money is on a scale completely unrelated to what you just said. Like if you just like, oh, I'm just one guy trying to do this, we're talking like this is amount of monies to like shift the entirety of like districts and counties that have absolutely nothing to do with the constituents in those places who might otherwise say, hey, I want to vote for this guy because he aligns with me, which is how democracy is supposed to work. And hey, I was able to spend so much money on campaign ads in like these 17 different districts in Alabama that all of these old people who just watch TV and see these campaign ads are now completely going to shift their vote because some guy in a completely different state with hundreds of billions of dollars was able to push it into that. So it's about the scale and the precedent and what that amount of money is able to do. People are upset by that, and I don't particularly like it, but I can see an argument for why it's a limitation of free speech.
Should it be unlimited spending, Wick?
From domestics, I don't see, like, what would you limit it as?
No, I mean, do you think like spending on these PACs and everything should be unlimited for super PACs and for 501c4s?
What
there should be no
would be the
limit at
argument
all.
for limiting it? Like, and what would you limit it at?
So like the obvious argument is the same thing when it's like, for example, one freedom of speech question legally would be, can you protest outside of an abortion clinic or outside of a religious establishment? Yes. So we have some rulings that say, oh, well, we have a perimeter around that church that is 100 feet long, 100 feet. 100 feet is too much of an infringement on freedom of speech, but we could do 15 or 20 feet. So you can't be, right in front of the church building. You can still be there protesting, but you can't be yelling in people's faces. So there are legal rulings in the Supreme Court for that. So for this, for example, it would say we should not have unlimited campaign spending, but maybe there's some limit. Maybe even like there's one bill that some Democrats pushed that would tie the amount of like super PAC spending to the amount you could spend on PACs. Would you support some limit in general?
I'd have to think more about that. My instinct, and I'm swayable on this, frankly, but my instinct is no. I think any limit would be arbitrary. Like, as long as, and again, my answer changes if it's foreign funding. If foreign funding, I don't think you should be able to be anonymous or anything like
the
that.
whole tenant media situation.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
That's different. I think that there's good reasons, security reasons to want that to be different. But when it comes to Americans wanting to donate to American causes, I don't know if I support a limit.
What if it was like a dual? What if it was like a dual citizen who was an American and another
Then they get
nationality?
if
No,
it
I was
doesn't
gonna
matter.
say, what if they're a Turkish nepo baby and their billionaire dad leaves them a few $1 billion, and then they start sweeping elections for socialism and communism? What if
Well, when
what if
that
it's
starts
that? You know, just
happening, let me
hypothetically
know.
speaking.
Okay.
Let's fucking go.
When that starts happening, let me know. But my problem with like all these laws is it restricts people's ability to anonymously, and I think anonymity is important, right? To anonymously support causes that they want. Like, we wouldn't want to get rid of the anonymous vote, would we? Even though the arguments.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
so. I think one thing when you talk about anonymity and when you talk about your rights is there's always a balancing test for these things. Like any right can be curtailed, as they often are. The balancing test oftentimes has to do with how narrowly tailored is whatever law we're looking at to restrict some right, and then what is is there a compelling state interest to do so, right? So I think when we talk about voting, right, like should you have to disclose who you voted for? You have one vote. You're not, swaying an election on your own unless you're, traveling with 400 million illegal immigrants or whatever the Republicans accuse people of doing. But with funding, now you can say that you have a right to privacy there, and when it comes to you buying a thing for your own personal consumption, I think there's a strong argument that you have a right to privacy there. Although conservatives disagree now, apparently, when that comes to pornography in 7 states or whatever, or abortions, I guess, in however many states. But the public also, I think, has an interest in that, right? Like there's a strong public interest in what the soy pill was saying. Let's say that I have this feeling that, man, there sure do seem to be a lot of Second Amendment supporters in the United States of America. I'm seeing this messaging everywhere. Let's say that it came out tomorrow that it was actually literally just Elon Musk because he saw, some laser gun movie and he's like spent $100 billion, $2 billion per state, and it was just him through other companies the entire time. I think people would look at it a little bit differently. Like, well, hold on. Well, now that I know that it's just Elon, who's literally like 98% of the funding of every state, it kind of changes the way that I feel about it. And there is a public interest there,
Yeah, I could be convinced perhaps to have a list where you have like, you wouldn't name the names, but you would have the amount of people and the amount donated per person. I can see an argument for that. But my issue with releasing names, right, is this is often used as a vector for harassment to try to pressure people. And it can have a chilling effect. Say, again, like if I really do believe that what Soy Pill is doing is correct, and despite the allegations against Soy Pill, should I like?
Yeah, I agree. I understand the chilling
how
effects
much
there, but like
should the
chilling
worry
effects
be
aren't
of my community, right?
Chilling effects
Does
aren't
that make
always
sense?
bad, right? Because we to some extent we want a chilling effect. We don't want one person necessarily to feel comfortable being 99% of the contributions towards one cause across several states, right? We want to chill maybe potentially some types of really intrusive spending there. But now, like, can you avoid chilling individuals who want to donate? Maybe not. I mean, this is maybe why these limits exist. Maybe past a certain amount of money you'd have to disclose. I personally think it would be challenging, but I think that everybody that does media, I think, should have to disclose all of their income sources. I think it would be incredibly revealing.
I don't want to
say
share
that,
my
but-
OnlyFans donators, okay?
Well,
I don't wanna share my
regardless of the like if everyone should disclose thing, I like really quickly want to talk about the like limits thing. This might be asking you to assume something that isn't necessarily what I can prove here because I didn't prepare this. But if you were to accept that a large amount of money, significant, not like from any one person, but from a pool of like multi-million, if not billionaires, was able to sway elections or voter sentiment in certain areas, even if it was on county scale. This isn't general election stuff. Would you not say that it is somehow now not fair that individuals who can contribute as much as possible will never be able to match up with people who are able to completely subvert what would otherwise be a free, democratic, free thought election in a smaller place because they're able to shift public sentiment so much with that amount of money? Does that not strike you as something that's a little like undemocratic, or at least something that would be unfair if that was true? I know I can't prove it to you right now.
Sure. Is it unfair? Perhaps, but my interest isn't necessarily in fairness. That's not my overarching concern, though it is something that we should be concerned about. And again, I think that people are disclosing where the money come from in the sense of like, is it being donated out of state? I think that might be fair, right? But when it comes to like my issue and my concern, again, is coming from what I've seen and how I've seen people behave when they see that someone is supporting, and whether it be financially or otherwise, someone that they hate, and the amounts of that they will go to stop that person, right? And
No,
I
I
can
understand
see
that
that.
pushback. I also just have an issue with the fact that like a billionaire can put like the dumbest fucking
These are both
person, like
issues,
Elon
though.
Musk, in front of Doge because he's able to put so
Yeah.
much into this campaign, right?
But
So
these
it's
are-
like I don't think that billionaires should have the ability to make these dumb decisions. I think they should be limited just as much as I am with how much I can donate to a campaign. So that, hey, if you want to support someone, go ahead. Maybe we don't have to disclose. I'd prefer if they did. I understand there could be pushback, but I don't want it to be that, hey, once you get so powerful because you've accumulated all this wealth, you now have essentially more of a vote than I do, depending on how much you agree that that actually has power and influence.
Wait, yeah, not to disagree. I get both sides of it. Like, one, you don't want like some random billionaire or like a corporation like Big Oil dropping billions of dollars into a campaign for a guy who's pro oil. But on the other hand, Wick, what you were saying was like, you said, because I get the argument of for the Citizens United ruling, which is like, for that ruling you would want to have, you shouldn't like necessarily have like a set dollar amount on like
Yeah,
how
they
much
weren't even look. It wasn't even about a donation. What they did in the Citizen United is they made basically a campaign ad, right, or a video,
any
anti-Hillary
political
video.
contribution is what I meant to say. This is my first debate. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. You're fine. It's okay.
You should apologize for contributing to the
Call him a
debate space
slur.
when it's toxic.
I can't do that.
Don't get me violated for TOS, please. I
No,
wanna keep my
that-
channel.
I'm sorry.
Wait, I've got a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
So what about like the public financing option? Because like in New York City, for example, they have like a 12-to-1 match. So it's good because that allows outsiders to actually have a chance to win these seats, right? And I know the tankies love to say that Zoran won based on the affordability stuff. And okay, maybe that's part of it. But they don't talk about the fact that Zoran was the only candidate other than a random third-party candidate to get matching funds. So he was walking into an election with like $8 million for a New York City mayor race, right? They don't talk about that. But that's kind of the good part about like the New York City match. And some other cities do this too. Like LA's got like a 6-to-1.
Yeah.
Seattle's got democracy dollars. It doesn't stop people though from outside spending, right? So like Cuomo's still, outspent him through the PACs, but it just gives those outsiders an opportunity that they wouldn't have otherwise.
This is a good kind of.
You have to make like a substantive less amount of money in order to qualify for matching dollars, or how does that
What do you
work? So for instance, let's say Bloomberg was running for mayor and he could throw $1 billion at the campaign, and then Zoran Mandani had 12 million. Would Bloomberg be entitled to the match?
No, so they can only make up to a certain amount, and you can't partially participate in the program. So you have to walk into the election saying, like on day one, before you've raised a single dollar, you have to say, I'm declaring I'm going to be part of the matching funds program, which means that you can't raise. First of all, you have to get like 1 million donations in your district, right? And it's not really that many. I think it's something like, I don't know, I can't remember what it is, a couple thousand, right? So they have to get those, and they have to be between like $5 and like $100. And then once you get those and they're all qualified match, so they've proved they live in the city, they've proved that they're a registered voter, all of those things, then you just get that match. So no, like somebody like Bloomberg can't come in and say, oh, I'm going to do matching funds, and then be like, oh, actually, I'm going to raise more money. I'm opting out of it. The other thing is that it does put a pressure campaign on them, because New Yorkers don't like the fact that people don't use the matching funds program, right? So like that sort of dissuades people like Bloomberg and like Cuomo from saying, oh no, I'm just going to use outside money.
I don't mind that because it doesn't restrict the other people from having their voice heard through their money, but it also kind of gives a subsidy, if you will, right, for lack of a better term. I'm not familiar on the specifics of these laws, obviously. I might quibble on one of those, but I think in spirit and kind of like the concept of it, I have no problem with that. I think that's fine.
This is my argument though with all the far left online, and they never respond to me after I say this. But I'm like, if you guys actually give a fuck about getting like the Zorans elected and you want to do that, get ranked choice voting on the ballot and get fucking matching funds on the ballot. Like you can go out and do that as a private citizen if you want to do that, but they don't.
They're gonna do that because they're lazy.
It's much easier to tweet about it, okay? And
I know, right?
Look, it's super.
Okay, but then we're getting to the transition that I wanted to make. So we've effectively all, circle jerked that, okay, we don't really care about the fact that Democrats are paying Democrats to pay Democrats in order to do electoral stuff. We don't care about that. Okay, now Steven's position is, let's just bully leftists endlessly, and the liberals can win without the progressives and the leftists. Okay, I think that might be a flawed strategy. So do we not have a few progressives or leftists here who might say, like,
Connor,
hey, bullying is not the way to go?
Connor, I have a thing I want to... You're not appealing to the leftists or the socialists. You're trying to appeal to the leftists that are online and the socialists that are like online. And I feel like that's a much different type
to be fair,
of
that's a
person
lot
to
of
appeal
them.
to.
That's actually my point.
Is it a lot of them?
That is my actual point. You should be trying to appeal to the actual more progressive, more lefty voters who probably don't even know how to define socialism.
Because they're idiots.
No, I just want to point out, look, I'm a leftist myself. I don't think any of these people should be fucked with at all. I think they should be completely forgotten, left in the dust. Like, these people don't even believe in the electoral system. Why would we include them in any movement?
So hold on.
Bravo.
Okay, the reason why
they literally think
this
liberals
is the crux.
are
Wick,
fucking
please,
far-right
before we
conservatives.
have a nice conversation, I want to make it a little spicy, okay? The point is that we had, well, I think Steven's the one who brought up the stat. So in Dearborn, Michigan, I think Michigan was lost to Trump. Biden carried it at like 68%, and then Jill Stein took 27 or 28%. And so as a result, Kamala lost the state of Michigan. So the left wing, railing about Israel and Palestine, railing about that conflict to a base that was sympathetic to Palestine, did cost Kamala a state. And then also a substantive amount of states were lost by tens of thousands of votes. So every vote counts, including the psychos.
But you have to factor in the people who stayed home because they thought Kamala was too far left, or playing footsie with people who were too far left, that she didn't substitute.
That was
Kamala's
almost me.
problem. Hold on. Kamala's problem was she tried to play both sides, and both sides didn't like that. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't pass the smell test.
Yeah. It felt disingenuous, okay?
Whether it wasn't, I need to interrupt you because I don't want to have the why did we lose conversation again. And I think what we can talk about here, and to Connor's
you
point, is
probably
that
need to have that conversation if we're going up on midterms, don't you think?
No, I know that, Connor. But what I'm saying is, when we're talking about especially dark money and like maybe what these lefties, which I think a lot of these lefties, Wick, you said this was disingenuous. I think a lot of the pundits, if you look at like how the Vanguard has responded to it, and how like the article is written, it is coming from a I hate the Democrats point of view, not because it fits into their narrative of, hey, it's just like this dumb idea they had to spend $20 million and find the new Joe Rogan of the left. And it's just like, hey, we can just criticize you and show that this was your fault. However, a lot of the people in these audiences do have these sentiments. Like me, they say, hey, I don't like dark money in politics. I wish we could have more transparency here. I don't like Citizens United. We can talk about that later. The point is, there are plenty of people that I bet we could win over that aren't going to like, toe the line, obviously, but are going to like be sympathetic to knowing, but I bet a lot of people didn't know this, that 1630 is anti-dark money in politics, is about campaign finance reform. So if you were able to communicate that to some of these lefties, I think a fair chunk of them would say, hey, this is still an okay idea. I still want to vote Democrat. And I think
go ahead, please.
And then piggybacking off of that idea that Soy was saying was, a lot of these audiences in these progressive or socialist spaces are very young. I think they skew like heavily like teenage to like young or like early 20s. So I think that a lot of these people are still very open to having their minds changed. And I think it's important to at least rally the younger, more politically enthusiastic part of that crowd that's not entirely bought into like the far left, like Tanky, like Hassan Piker, Sam Cedar, Taylor Lorenz types, who are so seeded into their careers, who are so ideologically bought in at this point in their life that there's not any hope of really changing their minds.
Yeah, you need to take that like idealistic youth, like I know I can transform the system and show them like, unfortunately, Democrats, as much as you might have problems with them, are the way that you're going to have this transformed, and abstaining and letting Trump win is just going to make it worse and harder to do. You need to work with these people and reform it, but you can't do that if they're not even in power.
I don't think
that's true.
I don't think the answer is just to, well, I'll tell you how. Right. And I'll tell you how you tell the difference between someone who's an honest actor and someone who is a dishonest actor. Like, I am not advocating for when someone's like, hey, I have some problems with dark money in politics. I heard Chorus did X, Y, and Z. That sounds pretty bad. I'm not advocating that we call them a slur immediately. OK, I'm advocating that you like, well, actually, and you just lay it out like, no, this isn't true. This isn't true. And provide some facts for it. Right. Give them some sources. Give them some actual evidence. But if they continue to press the point like, well, that's only one person that you found that criticized Israel, or it's only like 10% of them. If they keep pushing the point, just then you call them a slur, okay? Then you can say, no.
Okay, but we're dealing with the same problem though, which is with Trump, which is effectively like what is it like? Lies have a head start and are heard round the world before the truth has the chance to put its pants on or whatever in the morning. So we're dealing with that problem, and then on top of that, you're dealing with the problem that you're playing a reactive and defensive game. So effectively, the far left, the lefties or the progressives or whatever, who hate mainstream Democrats, who hate liberals. They make shit up. They talk a bunch of shit. They get their enthusiastic audience all fucking revved up. And then if you're explaining, you're losing. And your solution is explaining.
Hold on.
So how do you become the sexier alternative?
My solution to discerning between honest and dishonest is explaining. My advocacy for what to do when they are just liberal-hating leftists is to ignore or purge them. Okay.
How do you purge in this media environment? No one can be purged unless they're knocked off of a platform or unless they like
from your audience.
If they're knocked off of a platform. And even by the way, that's not even true either, because Nick Fuentes is now probably at the height of his popularity, and he's been on alternative media platforms for the past 5 to 10 years.
Don't give them a seat at your table.
Or we go after the figureheads, right? Like people like Sam Cedar, people like Hassan. Those guys are like 40 years old, like well into their careers. We're probably not changing their opinions, but you have younger creators who are newer to the space, who are more prone to having their mind changed. I think targeting them and by proxy their audience is a good way of going about discerning like who we should be allying with ourselves.
Listen,
we as liberals should be allying.
That's why I want you to get me on the TikTok.
Well, we should probably be on the offense more so. So like when we talk about the attacks right now, I heard Destiny say I think a few weeks ago on like kicking out Kyle Kalinske, and I think that's one of the most brain dead, pathetic, and weak things you could possibly do, because you should be providing some counter narratives and counter propaganda to talk about things like anti-corruption. There is a very strong anti-corruption liberal message. John Ossoff is doing it great right now, that we can drive home to say, for example, if someone's a Kyle Kalinske fan, I came up like this. Okay, I was a Bernie Bro Kyle Kalinske guy. Then I saw other content that slowly moved me over. If we just say like money in politics is not an issue at all, we can't get those voters. But I can tell you from my peers, from people that are actually going to be voting, that still vote Democrat, kicking out like a Kyle Kalinske who calls the Republican Party a fascist death cult and says I think he said he'll vote. And I don't know if Soy Pill, I think Live and Learn said this, that Kyle Kalinske would vote for even Joe Manchin at this point because of how devilish and terrible the Republican Party is. There is a way to work within this system to do propaganda that's effective, to make sure when there's a young person that comes into politics, they don't see Hassan talk about, there's money, there's secret money controlling everything. You should give a counter message like, hey, Netanyahu paid, these pro-Israel, pro-Zionist groups paid to do propaganda campaigns to target young leftists to say both parties are the same. They ran ads sympathetic to Palestine to get the voter turnout to be suppressed. So when they voted third party or they didn't vote at all, Netanyahu smiled his ass off. He was happy as shit. They gave Netanyahu what he wanted. Lena Khan. You think about the money that was put into the races to get people to not to vote because, the parties are the same. For Lena Khan, they wanted less oversight for corporations. They wanted her to stop trust busting and going after the biggest companies. Lena Khan should be a huge win. And the fact that Hassan Piker could not even say to vote for Biden and Harris based off Lena Khan alone is pathetic, and we need to use it against them. They are the pro-corruption party, and podcasts like The Vanguard is TMZ dipshit bullshit, keeping up with the Kardashians. If you look at their channel, it's all clickbait. They got rich off of convincing people they are the only way to get talk about bad incentives in media. They are the only way to save America, and now they get donations funneled into their channel. They do no advocacy for leftism or centrism or Democrat politics at all. They are TMZ. They are literally just TMZ. They are bullshit. They are pathetic. Kick them out. Kick Hassan out. But people like Kyle Kalinske, he's a chill dude.
Well, so I think the issue is, can we think of are there any counter narratives? Are there counter narratives to anything in the Republican Party by the Republican Party? Can we think of a single?
Not at all.
There's not. Okay. The issue with
anything about Republican bad behavior.
The issue with counter narrativing people like Kyle Kalinske is you can't do that. The problem is that what we're doing is we're so obsessed with trying to figure out, okay, how do we deal with all these other people who are supposedly part of our political movement who also want to like basically single issue destroy the entire movement? You can't do it. This is why it's so important to separate out people like, unfortunately, people like Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, like all these other people who transform to these single issue voters on Israel Palestine. The idea of inviting somebody into your political party and then saying that you have a diametrically opposed counter narrative to like all these other figures online just doesn't work. It makes you look insane. I think that part
How
of the
do you cut them out?
you just say they're not Democrats. These people aren't part of our movement. They can be like socialists or communists or whatever else, but they're not our party. They can be Green Party people, whatever else.
If they have tens of thousands of live viewers and a few 100,000 post-recorded views, and they're popular and they're inside their hug box, then what the fuck do you do about that?
First of all, they're not that popular. But then, wait, when they're not that popular, too, then let them go have their people. They can go make their own party if they want. But like the problem is right now it is impossible to have.
Influencing hundreds of thousands of people.
That's fine, but there's not even a chance for liberal
influence. That's not fine.
There's not a chance for liberal influencers. They were more popular in 2024 than in 2020. We lost 2024. So that argument doesn't work, okay? Number one. Number two, all the influence they had, they spent it against our candidate. So that doesn't matter. So that's irrelevant, okay? So the issue is that if you want to have a strong liberal movement or strong liberal people, it can't be that all of our fucking media space is handed over to people that don't give a fuck about winning elections. That's fucking insanity. I don't care how many fucking followers or influencers they have. Fucking Joe Rogan has a lot of followers, and so does fucking Mr. Beast. Like, that doesn't mean that we look to them for political guidance. You just say that these people are not part of our party. If they want to support our candidate, they can.
Capture Destiny. That's
what?
the whole point. Like,
their audiences don't vote.
Joe Rogan and talks for 3 hours, a good chunk of people might see that and say, hey, you've got a good message. So you can't never talk to Joe Rogan. Now you can say,
wait. Who said never talk to Joe Rogan? I never said never said never talk to Joe Rogan. I'm just saying make it clear that they're not in our political party. That's a different project.
Okay, fair, but you guys
need to ally with everybody.
You say, hey, you're a Hassan watcher, and anyone who watches Hassan is not part of our political movement. I think there's probably millions of Hassan watchers that we could convert into like people
anyone
who
believes.
You should go into a Hassan chat sometime. That place is crazy. Those people are. I'm not joking. Those people are fucking insane.
No, I've seen how crazy it can get. I'm just saying. I don't think. I mean, I know Hassan watchers that listen to me like in real life that are my friends, and they're like, oh,
yeah, but I think, but keep in mind, keep in mind the balance you have here, right? Is that you're trying to present this story where Hassan is part of our movement, guys, and maybe we can pull some of his fans and like we're all kind of like working together. They don't view you as a friend. Like, you're not part of the club. They don't want to be working with liberals. They cut a liberal and a fascist loose. They don't want anything to do with the Democratic Party. Their goal is always single-mindedly, the focus is to destroy the Democrat Party and then to suck as many viewers from the liberals as possible. Why would you want to be in a cooperative relationship with a cancerous leech? That's all they are on the movement. And I don't care how big they suck. I don't care how much blood they've sucked.
Right. Hold on, pause. And
I'm the one that called him out too, so.
Well, can I answer the question real quick?
Hey.
Asked it to me.
1 second, and she's right. I know that you two had things that you wanted to say. You can go ahead right now, and then we can get. I just want to make sure people who want to speak are able to.
Yeah, we don't need a Hassan. We don't. Sorry.
No, sorry. I don't know why we're like including these people in our movements. Anyways, it's so much easier, and you don't have to sit there and demonize every Hassan watcher. You can just say like, look, this guy's not invited to our events. He's not allowed. These people aren't supporting our movement. And I want to dispel this myth that like young people aren't voting because of like Palestine. You can look at the like post-election polls, the exit polls. Palestine wasn't even in like the top 5. I think people are not just like not voting because of Palestine. And then you look at like the youth voter base and you can ask them, why didn't you vote this election? And the majority of the reasons are like, oh, I fucking forgot. I wasn't registered to vote. I mean, like, why do you think like the people that Unifying America Tour and all these different PACs are trying to get students to register to vote? It's because these people are like the youth voter base and they're just like missing out elections just because they're like weren't registered.
Okay, so this is what I'm asking though. Sorry, real quick. This is important.
Okay, yeah.
So we collectively are either creators or aspiring creators. That's what we do, right? And so there's a variety of ways that we can spend our time, money, and energy. Now, I wake up every single day and I just talk shit about whatever's hot. If there's like a new drama, a new news cycle, Trump's dying, whatever, that's what I'm talking about. And so that gives me super chats, money, time, influence, all that kind of stuff. I'm very small, but I'm trying, right? But the point is that so how much of our energy do we spend attacking the far left and saying, you can't sit with us, you're not part of our club? How much of our time do we spend showing that MAGA and Trump are illiberal, anti-republic, authoritarian pieces of shit? And how much of our time do we spend, I don't know, doing something like Z's trying to do, which is like coalition build a TP USA counter to the existing TP USA. And the truth is, like, I have such a small amount of time, money, and energy that I can only do what I can do. And I don't know the answer to this or how to coordinate our energy and effort.
How much time did the Republicans spend on this?
They have
A
a lot
lot.
of money.
The Republicans,
Decades.
wait, the Republicans spend so much time. How many times do we have to listen to Jordan Peterson stumble through his horrible takes on history to prove that Nazis were actually on the left? They didn't say, well, we'll allow Nazis to be on our movement. They said National Socialists, atheists. These were left-leaning people. How many times have you heard, right? How many times has a Republican said, well, there were slave owners that were, part of our movement, and, we said, no, they didn't. They said Democrats were the party of slaves, Republicans freed the slaves. How many, Republicans do this all the fucking time. And
Wait, are
they
you
don't
saying
have
bad propaganda? Or are
no,
you
I'm saying
cutting
that
out the
Republicans don't sit here and say, well, we accept all these extremist groups on our side. They relabel them as the left. They do this with every single movement. And then meanwhile, the left is like, well, we don't have time to cut out Hassan Piker. We have to accept that all of these people are part of our movement. We're actually
they
like,
have over us.
Well, wait,
Call them what they are. Trump's strongest soldiers. These are.
Wait, I'm
Trump's
sorry.
strongest
Are we
soldiers.
saying? Are we saying? Okay, are we?
Hassan, they're all Trump's strongest. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry.
The
Okay,
point is
is
if you
our
have a limited
politics
amount
so
of-
weak? Is our politics so weak that MAGA can make a coalition with the damn Proud Boys and January Sixers, but we can't find a way to make like overly leftist college kids work for our movement?
no,
But they
because
can
the
make
difference is that,
Proud
the
Boys.
difference is that all of those people on the right, if you ask them at the end of the day, what do you agree with Trump on? Well, Matt, the hardcore people, well, he's not a Christian. He doesn't support the ethno-state. He doesn't do this. Okay, so what, you didn't vote? You voted for Kamala? Fuck no, I voted for Trump. Meanwhile, on the left, you can run down with leftists 10 different issues. Oh, he didn't fight for 15-hour minimum wage? I didn't vote for Biden. Oh, he didn't have the right position on Gaza? I didn't vote for Biden. Oh, it's instead of solidarity, it becomes exclusivity.
You're brain poisoned by the internet. You're brain poisoned by the internet. The actual voters on college campuses, you should join Z more, going on actual organizing trips on these college campuses. It's not a Hassan chat room. There's tons of people who say, I'm a leftist, I'm a communist, but we need Democrats to win to protect me and my friends. They will do that. You have to go in the real world for a little
Hold on,
bit.
guys, I understand. I guarantee you I've spent more time in the real world political movements than you have. Number one. Number two, then appeal to those people. I'm not saying that every single person who identifies as a socialist or a communist is kicked out. I'm saying that the content creators you don't consider part of your movement. If you want to appeal to Hassan fans, I think Conor said it earlier, that's great. But that sure as fuck doesn't mean you have to invite Hassan and pretend he's a friend. I hope that I appeal to Nick Fuentes fans or Trump fans or whatever else. That doesn't mean you have to invite them and say, oh, this is my best friend Donald Trump. We're going to do, play video games with him until all of his fans convert. Like, there's a difference between appealing to the fans and the actual content creators and working with them as other equals or part of your movement.
Okay, so one question on Kyle Kulinski then. If he's going to call the Republican Party, if he calls the Republicans a fascist death cult and he's going to vote for any Democrat, is that good for you?
The problem is he is also the single issue Israel-Palestine voter. You can't. I'm sorry, but you can't support a party while saying that it's the party of genocide.
But he'll vote Democrat. He'll vote Democrat, though, right?
But
He'll vote Democrat.
If it's
he'll vote Democrat.
You're not going to get people to vote for the party of genocide. Sorry, if they're not going to vote for it. I'm sorry.
so
That's your only
Israel and
position.
There are people who are anti-Israel and turning point
Hold on.
USA, but they vote Republican. If they vote Democrat, it's good.
Can I ask Jola a question? That's your name, right, Jola? Okay, so if I spend 300 days of the year beating the shit out of my girlfriend, but on one day of the year I said, you know what, I'm going to be nice to my girlfriend. My girlfriend's the best. Should we accept that? Kyle Kulinski and his ilk will spend 300 days of the year shitting on us, shitting on liberals, shitting on the Democrats, shitting on the Democratic Party. But one day a year, for maybe a month, they'll be like, oh, no, you should vote Democrat. Why would we ever accept that?
It's also the fact
Kyle
that
Kulinski has spent more time giving Biden credit for his domestic policy than any of these leftists. I'm not saying they're all okay, but he's been by far better than any of them. And when you bring up an example, an analogy about beating your wife, it shows your internet poisoning even further. What I'm saying is these coalitions on college campuses, you're going to meet people who are on the far left, who their single issue might be a Palestine Gaza, but you can still have them in your coalition. They still volunteer. They still will vote for trans people or for black people. And that's one big issue that online progressives do have. I'm saying on the broad level, if you look at 95% of the voters who were in that coalition did vote that direction. What I'm saying is we should not fully cut out the creators, who they know. We should be using at least rhetoric they are familiar with. So, for example, if there's a vacuum for content that's anti-corruption, we can use a strong liberal anti-corruption message that's not going to violate, like, for example, Kyle Kulinski and Hassan want to just like vacate the Congress. That's not good, but we could have a strong liberal framing that sounds a little bit populist, like Barack Obama did, like John Ossoff is doing right now. We just need to fill the vacuum here so these young kids don't be fully sucked into these arenas. I'm just saying we should not fully write them off and say they're evil devils and use the words like tanky. The word tanky no one ever uses, and Destiny says that word like 50,000 times a day.
So I think
if we're appealing to 95% of the people and they're already leaning towards the Democratic Party, why should we be appealing to the final 5%?
Well, hold on. Yeah, we're playing a game where you keep mixing up like the fans and the content creators themselves. Also, Kyle Kulinski is literally the closest one on the line. I agree that he's better than every other person. I've literally gone back and forth on him like 12 times in the past 6 months. But his foreign policy policy is just so fucking retarded. He's so brain broken on it that I think he's a lost cause. And Crystal is fucking way the fuck out there. Like, I'm sorry, he's too brain broken on that shit. And was he also like a force the vote dipshit? I don't remember. He got hung up on that issue too. But the audience, of course, you can appeal to. This is what, like, I think that things like saying that, like, the situation in Gaza, even if you want to say that it's a genocide, like, sure, but that's like all the more reason to support a Democratic candidate, because Trump sure as fuck isn't going to do anything about it. But you can't do that while you are appearing aligned with the commie whatever content creators. It's just impossible because they're constantly undermining you and shitting on you and attacking you like all the time. It's unworkable.
Like you said, they
also
are
on the side note,
Everybody's
He's right. All right, hold on. Hold on. Soy pill first, then
right.
Vince,
So, like,
and then
okay,
after.
it's a single issue thing. No matter what, he's never going to support the party of genocide, as he says. This is the Democrats. So let's say the Israel-Palestine conflict resolves before the midterms, and all of a sudden now we have someone who's willing to work with and organize his million viewer audiences to canvass and door knock for people that is no longer, thrown off by the single issue vote. Why wouldn't we want that to help?
No, here's the problem.
When
I
we are
don't like this
facing
framing that we have to
existential,
appeal to them. They have to come to us. Leftists do this all the time. They're the biggest losers you know, and they make you seem cool for them and have to work harder to reach out to them. Fuck that.
I didn't say we
more
had to reach out to them. I'm just
positive,
saying we don't
self-conscious
access
users.
the creators
And
if they're willing
leftists
to
can
help
get
us.
on board or stay the fuck back. I'm tired of wasting effort reaching out to these people.
Okay.
Rob,
If
Bo.
you break these down as action items, I would want to extract these as action items, though, because it seems like we're looping a little bit. So if we were talking about action items, and I'm not saying everybody agrees with this, but it seems like people are saying, say, the content creators, Taylor Lorenz, Hassan Piker, pick your least favorite leftist, say the content creator is Trump's biggest or best soldier, in that they have horseshoed to the point that they are politically counterproductive and I don't like them and they can go fuck themselves. However, if you're a reasonable progressive or an incrementalist leftist or something like that, I would like it if you stuck around in my community to hear what I had to say. That kind of sounds like the takeaway that I'm hearing.
A little bit like that, but more importantly, what she's right. I'm saying the same. The thing is that if you look at a normal environment, if you're going to a party that has infinitely more leverage and power than you, what you're doing when you go to that party, you're saying, okay, I understand you got all the power, you got all the leverage. I'm going to work with you, all right? But I'm going to try really hard to push you on this one issue, and that's okay. So, like, if Kalinsky and these other people were like, you know what, I'm going to join the Dems, but I'm gonna bully you guys on Israel-Palestine, then fine, that's okay. But you can't show up with nothing because these people's political influence is nowhere near. And like how many ultra progressives or socialists are in Congress? Like 2.5 maybe, right? Depending on who you count in the House, right? They can't come like they've got all the political power. Like, you need to come all the way over to me on Israel Gaza. You need to come all the way over here on Medicare for all and force the vote and 25 an hour minimum wage. Like, excuse me, fuck no. Like, if you're not willing to bridge and come in our direction at all, you're acting like we have to match you in every single way. And the way that these people talk is very indicative too, because these people always talk with this air of, well, the whole electorate actually agrees with me. If you just look at the right polling data, you guys just need to catch up. It's like, no, fuck that. With that's you don't go that far. You don't travel that far to those people. Grow your Brian Tyler Cohens and your David Pacmans and everybody instead.
Who's that?
Also, on the side
If
note, they're willing to come to us and help us,
Hold on.
then I agree.
Hold on. All right. Pause. Vince, you can speak first because you haven't had a ton of opportunities. Then she's right. Then the soy pill. Go.
Also, on the side note, Crystal Ball and Breaking Points are extremely pro-Russian. And also, I want to ask you guys, how much money do you think is acceptable for creators to accept of dark money?
Depends on the situation. I mean, not every creator is going to be doing the same
Seven
thing.
figures.
The same.
How much are they willing to give me?
To be a fixed rate.
The only thing that we should bring back is they can accept any amount of money, but donations over $5,000 are no longer protecting the privacy of individual donors, but speak to manipulation by big donors and big corporations. So accept any amount of money, disclose 5,000 and up.
Why that amount? Like, why have you drawn the limit?
That's just what the rule was a few years ago until Trump got rid of it. And now this is where we are.
Those are like the FEC. It's like 3,000 for an individual, 5,000 for an organ, whatever. That's like the FEC limit.
Oh, okay.
Just to wrap up what you were saying before, I do want to say it seemed to me that the language was we are excising these people no matter what because of what is rightfully so. When you hear them say things like, "I hate the Democrats. I will use their power to subvert them completely." Yeah, I think that's fucking insane. But like, if based on what I'm hearing, if they are willing to come and say, "Hey, we're going to pressure you super hard, but we will help out," and we're not kicking them out when they do that, then I'm cool with it. So yeah, just to be clear.
Also,
I have a question to ask the panel. Like, I know Destiny was speaking about earlier, like sometimes some people can't be reached whatsoever, but like we need people in general in our movement in order to win elections. do we reach to the far left, the center right, both, neither? Like, how do we get more people in general? Like, how do we pay? Like, how do we get media? And how do we build like an ecosystem, like what fucking Charlie Kirk and his fucking little teeth, big gum, big head ass is doing?
We literally know what we're doing.
I've seen a lot of people online saying that we need to appeal to leftists. No. I don't think that's true. I don't think they're big enough to meaningfully appeal to.
Who do we appeal to?
I think moderates, appealing to moderates is probably the best way to go forward. I mean, like, look, if Conor brought up the the 2024 Michigan state election, like the Green Party, they only got 44,000 votes, and that would not have been enough to flip it from like Democrat to Republican. But if you could take away from the Republican votes, that might give you a chance, even if it's just like 100,000 votes or something like that. I know that.
We just need vote, period, including non-voters. We had lower turnout in 24 than 20. We just need to get people to vote for us, like people to vote to show out for us in general. Especially with higher turnout, elections typically go to Democrats anyway. Typically,
well, you know who actually votes? Republicans vote. So
exactly,
appeal to moderate Republicans. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But I know there's not many of us left. But
so I have a question.
Our big tent to get bigger, the biggest tent ever.
Yes, we need a big tent. But ironically, and perhaps the way to do that is there are a lot of people who I know personally, right, both online and off, that the reason that they no longer vote Democrat or are hesitant to vote Democrat is because who they feel, and I don't think this is entirely true, right? I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, but they feel that the Democrats are beholden to the left, and the left loves this dynamic, right? Because the left feels that they can hold us hostage in a lot of ways. There was I forget his name, but he tweeted something like, if you try to run Gavin Newsom, we'll make sure you lose, right? And all these kind of weird threats that they give. We just need to assert ourselves, remind people who's actually in control, and then act like it. We can't.
Wait. You're saying liberals need to grow a spine?
Yes.
Okay, do you think that's going to happen, though?
Yes. We need to make being a liberal sexy again. We need to, again, I'm a hard R liberal, which means I don't care if people use it as a slur, right? I'm going to identify as a liberal, and I think we need to just stand on that because left and right has turned liberal into a slur, into a dirty word, and we need to make it sexy again.
Being a liberal is lame now in society. Great point, Wick. Great point.
Of course, I always make great points, but thank you.
I was going to make...
Me and you will put out Sydney Sweeney ads.
Excellent. Yes,
I'll start selling my bath soap.
Liberal supremacy. That's what we got.
Everyone on our team. Everyone deserves rights. Everyone deserves, like, everyone should be a liberal because everyone should be allowed to live however they want, right? I mean, like, in general, no one should disagree with that, but people do disagree with that.
Very excited to hear
I have a question.
Obama liberalism back. Oh wait, Obama liberalism back. That's what we need. We need.
Well, there's a white Obama somewhere. It's that preacher.
We need.
It's that priest from Texas, the white Obama.
Yeah, I have a question.
What that guy's name is? I forget.
Go ahead, Vince.
What is Citizens United?
It was a Supreme Court decision made 2010,
2010,
yeah, something like that, which basically noted that organizations money counts as free speech, basically from corporations. A lot of people don't like that decision. I think it was rightly decided.
I would disagree.
But I'm in the minority on the left on this, but it is my view. So.
Okay, so sounds like we came up with some takeaways or whatever as far as like doing the online sphere, I suppose. But then then what's like next steps? What's executables? What's your specific measurable, action-oriented, realistic, time-based?
One more ask. We do not need a Joe Rogan of the left. I would give up 100 Joe Rogans of the left for one Hassan Piker of the right. There is no dissent among this movement. They are a cult, fully bought in. When Elon Musk was there, it was sowing division and pulling apart a movement's sense of distrust and who to be with all the time. And there's never been in the past decade anything nearly as effective.
We need like a Mark Cuban
to don't need a Hassan Piker.
Left movements. We need like a billionaire that finances the left, the liberals. We need a big ecosystem, a media ecosystem, like ground game, registering the vote ecosystem. We need that here at the left. They have fucking Turning Point USA, and they have fucking Nick Fuentes in his fucking basement dwellers, and we need people on our side that can be. They play dirty. We need to play dirtier.
We got to do voter fraud.
No, hold on.
Not what I meant. No voter fraud.
Look, this play dirtier. I don't agree with that. I think that
Yeah,
one
like
of the
we
things
haven't
that
already
we
been doing it for 4 years.
I want to win.
We need a Charlie Kirk
Isn't
raising
that
money and
part of-
organizing people to vote and countering the Charlie Kirk movement. It'd be crazy.
Yeah,
if
why
somebody
don't
did
you-
part
that.
of like this
That'd be
course
weird if we had an
conversation?
organization like that. I don't know.
Isn't that part of our course conversation is playing dirtier, accepting
No,
dark money,
because
and
not about dirtier, it's
like
about
doing
dirty.
whatever it
We don't
needs
have
to
any
win
voices.
elections? I mean,
We need to
If
win.
only there was someone here who ran a pack and also ran a tour about that kind of stuff. That would be crazy.
That would be so crazy.
I would join that pack.
No, but seriously, I think that like I agree with the Joe Rogan stuff, but I mean the most worrying thing right now is like how do we foster like a Scott Presler, a Charlie Kirk on the left when we're dealing with these leftists? And I agree with Destiny in that I think we should fucking bully them, because for the past 10 years we haven't done shit. Like we've just sat back and we've let them bully everybody. It's not like Unfuck America and National Ground Game were like the first ever groups to try this, right? Like almost every single group on the left implodes itself. Black Lives Matter, Next Gen America. I could list probably fucking 50 of them, like off the top of my head, that were at one time strong groups and then were imploded by the far left.
I think
So
this is what I'm trying to
why-
advocate for in the changing of the framing, though. And I've said this like a million times. People keep calling it a circular firing squad, but it's just a firing squad. They're not imploding; they're being destroyed. Right? Groups that have a common interest and that have a huge goal in furthering something don't implode. Why would you? You get over your differences and you figure your shit out to move in the direction that you want to in order to make a better whatever your policy is aimed at. The only way it can implode is if something is more important than that policy goal. And for the leftists, there is something that's more important, and that's the destruction of the Democratic Party or whatever liberal group they're a part of if they're not going to be socialists.
This is
where
hold on,
real
just
quick.
This is important, right?
They're not
This is what
imploding, or-
no, it's parasitism. They want to infect our movement, infect these movements, and to destroy them because they're not in charge. They think that if they can destroy the democratic movement, that voters will come to them and they will be ascendant and be able to be in charge and be in control. And if we do not give them the control, that they will sabotage us. So we just need to stop letting them hold us hostage.
I have to make this point. Just let me in real quick, because I swear to God, it's at least funny. So this is where North and I are probably in a privileged position as the Never Trump Republicans, because I don't think y'all can fucking do it. Okay. Part of the reason why over the past decade, whenever they were like, oh, Republicans, moderate Republicans, Trump is so bad, why don't you come over to the Democrats? And it's because like the Democrats are a bunch of fucking cannibalistic freaks who can't get out of the fucking parking lot before they stab each other over some random fucking ideological difference on economic policy or identity. So I'm basically going to say, no balls, y'all can't do it, rise to the challenge, get it done. But you got to step to it, because I don't know.
I would argue that there's a
kind of to build off of
which
that.
is why no one wants to be a Democrat.
What's that?
It's not cool to be a Democrat now. You say you're a
I
Democrat.
was actually just about to say that. The far left, the progressives have made
being a Democrat lame.
Being socialist, being, like super pro-trans, pro-BLM, blah, 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 all this random shit. They've made that like such a super sexy aesthetic that it has such, at least on a cultural level, a really strong appeal. Because I think it's kind of similar. Sorry?
Really? Because like people don't like, it's not very popular right now when it comes to like the whole.
No, it's this is the challenge. It is super popular where it's at, but I don't know how this happened, but somehow progressives and tankies have like co-opted politics, but it's just an aesthetic. It's really effective for their social groups, but it's not effective for winning elections. The difference is like the right is like politically minded, right? Like again, I point this out, like these motherfuckers thought the 2020 election was literally stolen and they still showed up to vote in 2024. Like these guys are relentless when it comes to fucking voting.
The right.
They vote. They're organized around politics, and the far left or the progressives or whatever. And when I say this, okay, so that I'm not triggering Joel over there because I know he's getting triggered. Okay, so to be clear, okay, I'm talking about like the content creators, whatever. Like 90% percent of the people that's quote unquote supported Bernie Sanders voted for the Democratic candidate. Okay, this isn't like oh my God, all the progressives. We're mainly talking like the content creators and like the really loud figures in this group. But then, like Conor said, the issue that you run into is we don't police like who you vote for on the left for some fucking stupid fucking pointless fucking reason. On the right, you know, you can say whatever the fuck you want, but if you don't vote for Trump, they're going to literally castrate you. On the left, you know, we like give you a pat on the back and it's like, oh, I understand if you don't want to support the candidate because we weren't democratic enough or we weren't whatever the fuck, right? And then the Republicans throw that same logic in our face. Trump didn't even do a fucking debate because he didn't think that he had to do anything for his fucking primary to win, you know?
Yeah, the right is culturally and politically much more aligned than the left, which is significantly more disjointed.
Sure, yeah.
Also, the black pill. The black pill is the reason Trump won is because of low information voters, low propensity voters, and also evangelical voters. So also that voter base that watches Theo Vaughn, watches Joe Rogan, and they believe just whatever they hear on Twitter and all this disinformation and misinformation. Those people just walked up to the polls and they were just like, "Oh, I guess I'll vote for Trump because he seems like the fun guy. He seems like the dad that lets me curse, and the liberals are gonna language police me." And I think we're improving on those grounds. And also, Destiny, I would love to have an actual conversation about this, but there's too many people here. Too many people. But the
right is really great at simplifying politics and making it much more black and white than it actually is.
I don't think it's a matter of simplifying politics. I think it's a matter of labels. Like if you're on the right in America, you're a conservative, and there's like, you know, the Never Trump Republicans, who's arguably very small, and then there's the libertarians, who are also very small. But then if you look on the left, you have the progressives, you have the liberals, you have like the tankies, you got all these different groups, and they all fucking hate each other.
Well, even in the language, hold on. You don't have the liberals as like 99% of the group. Even in the language that you're using, it's tankies, it's progressives, it's socialists, it's communists, it's liberals, it's all of these different categories on the left, which is way more fractured than the right, whereas the right is much better at just otherizing into our group versus their group.
Yeah, the right is,
if you're not with us, you're a rhino. If you're not with us, you're a socialist. All of the Democrats are socialists.
It's because they vote, though. That's their unifying thing. Like on the left, we have all these different, like the right has a lot of different groups, arguably as well, right? Like look at this young break apart between, you know, you had the whole H-1B fight over are Indians good or do we hate them like Canadians do? Yeah. You know, we've got different opinions on fucking Israel between especially younger or further right voters. Like, but the right is really good about keeping everybody voting. That's the important thing. And somehow on the left, we gave up our entire media apparatus to people that don't give a fuck about winning elections.
Well, hold on. It's because we hate and fear the far left more than we hate and fear each other. That's one of the interesting things. Rob Noor and I have had existential political fucking differences about the way that we view the world, to the point that we've got into like really, really harsh debates. But I still think he's probably a good guy. He pays his bills. He takes care of his wife. He takes care of his community and all that kind of shit. So my point being that like y'all need a unifying enemy. And if MAGA isn't the unifying enemy, you're fucked.
Because, well, we have a problem with competing incentive structures. We have what helps us win nationally, and the messaging and the policies and the positioning that we help us win nationally. But it does not help the individual content creator for the most part. You will be attacked if you do what is effective nationally by these smaller groups. And because you are an individual and we don't support each other, we just don't, right? You're left to this relatively small group that's able to swarm you and just destroy you. And so you are scared to do what would be nationally palatable. Look at how they treated, what was his name? Pete Buttigieg. After he made a pretty anodyne comment about letting communities and stuff, or recognizing that there are problems with trans sports and things like that. It was something anodyne. I forget the exact words. But the far left ate him up for that. It's a nationally pretty good message, but it's just not allowed. You will be destroyed as an individual.
I think that the reason that the left has more infighting is because with the right wing, there's Trump, who's the God King, and then everyone needs to vote for the God King or you're ostracized. With the left, is like we welcome opposing viewpoints more. Like we welcome different viewpoints more, and there's so much more infighting. Like there's the regular liberals, there's the regular Democrats, there's the center left, the mid left, and there's like a socialist and communist and stuff like that, and they
Yeah,
all
but if-
fight each other and whatever.
No,
but like,
I
if a
disagree.
unifying
It's not,
enemy doesn't unify you, you're fucked.
If we were allowing like debate, that's one thing. But what we've created is like selective invulnerability to some groups to come in and to just say the most fucking retarded things, and then to pretend that like that's a legitimate position, and we all have to pretend that's a legitimate position.
Hey, we
Like,
pretend that that's a legitimate position. I'm saying that we
That's part
allow
of coalition
people to
building.
No, call him retarded.
but
No,
it,
that's part of coalition building.
but
you
it's
dumbasses.
it's not just about coalition. No, it's not just
you
about
gotta
coalition
listen to
building.
them, not
It's not
agree
just
with
You have
about.
immigrants, you have Indians, you got Asians. No. You have to coalition build, you dumb fucks.
Yeah, but a
Yes, you have to
coalition is held
coalition with
together by a
everybody.
common thing, and the common thing on the
A
right.
common enemy.
No,
should be the common enemy.
It can be a common whatever the fuck. They have to vote. That's what the most important. The common enemy's not enough because Hassan, the Jola guy said it earlier. Kyle Kalinske fucking hates Donald Trump or whatever, and I'm sure Crystal Ball hates Donald Trump. But when you're constantly saying both parties are the same, they both do the same shit. It's like, well, fuck, I don't know. Does that fucking matter? Then I don't, like,
Yeah,
you have to
what's
hate
one
them.
of
You have to
the
vote for the
common
other
enemies?
side
They see
too.
Republicans and Democrats as the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's not good because to them they are the same thing because they're not part of our coalition.
We need to build
I agree
a
with those
coalition to fight
criticisms.
the stance of fascist. That's what we need
I
to
agree.
do.
I agree with those criticisms. I think the really funny thing, though, is we have this entire topic where we're like, oh, we need to defend the liberals against this article, and we got to have these fierce debates over this article, and we have a room right now with 14 liberals who are here defending ourselves against no one. And I think that's kind of an analogy for what we're talking about here. It's hilarious as shit.
Wait. No, that's good. No, that's a really good point. Wait, but why? Wait. Why is it that 14 liberals were able to show up but not a single leftist? Because they don't give a fuck. Because they're not here to build a bridge to us. The only thing they care about is to destroy this movement. They don't give a fuck about engaging. There's no debate to be had here, right? There's not. They don't have to justify themselves to you. Look at the responses to any number of tweets. It's just making fun of them. They are all on the same messaging points. Where I've seen every single dipshit go, "Oh, so now the Wired's not credible." Yeah, give me a fucking break, right? They're not here to debate or to persuade or whatever. They're just here to make fun of the liberals until they die. Yeah.
Wait, can I make my position really?
Tomorrow, the Vanguard is hosting Taylor Lorenz.
All right, hold on. Pause. Corbin, and then Jonah, then wait.
No, I was gonna say, like, even anecdotally piggybacking off of what Destiny was saying, I reached out to like 5 pretty large progressive content creators. Every single one denied to have this conversation, either because 1, Destiny was involved, or 2, because they said they didn't want to have the discussion, even though they publicly comment. I reached out to people who had specifically publicly commented on the Taylor Lorenz thing in positive to the article.
Yeah.
Then it's good to have this conversation without them, rather than censor our own messaging, trying to appeal to perfectionists.
No, but the mere fact that they aren't here sends a message that they aren't willing to build a coalition.
But it also says an important thing, right? Because this is something that Republicans have done so well to us too, with the Trump derangement syndrome and everything else, okay? Because it's not even that they're not here, it's that they're not here, they're not interested in our movement, but they're still dictating our conversations, which is what the Republicans are so good about doing to liberals, is that we have to talk. That's why Gavin Newsom has been so effective. Even if you don't like him, even if he's retarded, the fact that people are going on Fox News and they're crying about whatever Gavin Newsom is tweeting means that they're not talking about fucking some trans issue. They're not talking about some immigrant that got in a fucking car accident or whatever other stupid shit. Now they're on the defensive and they have to play Gavin's game as Gavin is making them look unhinged. The only what we need to do is we need to be the meme comic where there are 5 people that are talking to each other and then one guy screams something from the side and then somebody else gives them the thumbs up and then we just go back to talking about our shit. Like that's what every conversation should be, because none of these people give a fuck about the Democrats, our movement, or anything else. Yeah.
What I'm hearing is
I kind of want to.
We should have ignored the criticism.
Do what?
Yeah, I kind of want to wrap. Sorry.
I heard somebody say ignore
Should we just not have these debate panels then when it comes to like these like leftist controversies then?
I like
Because
talking.
Not if they don't want to debate it. No, fuck them. Why should
exactly.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, like, what the fuck is the point? If they're too scared to have the conversation, then yeah, because Republicans weren't the one that wrote this article. You think Republicans are going to come after Democrats for a fucking dark money fucking group? That's like they would laugh at shit like that. Like there's just fucking memes to them. You know? Yeah.
Okay, we got one panel in. Good job, team.
Nice. I kind of wanted to almost wrap back around to what Destiny was saying earlier about there being like lots of different points of view in the MAGA movement. I agree there's a lot of differences in opinions within that movement, but the bottom line is the Republican Party, the MAGA party, the populist Trump cultist party is the base, and everyone else is just along for the ride. And I think that we need to establish something like that, or shift the dynamic for the, at least messaging wise, for the Democratic Party to where, hey, if you're not on board with us, we're going to kick you the fuck off. You can have disagreements, but the dynamic has to be, hey, you guys are riding our ship.
So piggybacking off of what Corbin Sales said, we need to be in control. We need to be open-minded to people. But if like some crazy like fucking weirdo decides that they want to like represent us, and they can't represent us. Like we need to make sure that the narrative shifts to we accept people. We need to be the party who accepts more, but we don't need to accept everything. Like, because, like, keep in mind that the Republicans have their God King and they have everyone else below them. Even with disagreements, they still support their God King. That's the advantage they have over us.
Yeah, but just to keep in mind, what they're doing is they accept everybody, but they appeal only to themselves. But what people tell us to do is to appeal to everybody else and in an attempt to accept them, right? Donald Trump doesn't change anything when he's trying to appeal to other people. He just does because they view him as a useful vessel. And even these people...
Okay, but this is bad tactics, you dumb fucks, because number one, why? Yes, it is, because you're saying that, okay, y'all need to be in charge of the ship, you need to be the captains, you need to be in charge, and you need to say whoever's along with us is along for the fucking ride, but we're setting the agenda. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, number one, I don't think any of you could name me a single person who is capable of unifying the Democratic Party, not just within the left liberal divide, but even within liberals themselves.
I got one.
And then not just that, you have to build a coalition. You have multiple parties. You have the Black community. You have the Hispanic community. You have the immigrant community. You have the non-immigrant community. You have the well-educated. You have the poor. Do you know who fucking Republicans have? Republicans have the middle class, multiracial, and they got white, straight, white and straight.
I got a guy.
So y'all have to appeal to more people.
I have an answer. And we have my governor of my state in Pennsylvania, which is a purple state, has huge, high approval ratings, even among Republicans. Okay. He's bipartisan coalition, Josh Shapiro. He's able to get shit done. He's demonstrated that he's able to appeal across party lines. The leftists hate him already. Okay, so that's a plus in my book, right? And I think that if he were to run in 2028 and we nominated him and we supported him, I think he would sweep. I think he's got great normie appeal.
Should we partially as a joke, but I'm telling you that that's a political liability. And I'm not saying that he can't win. I'm not saying he can't do well. What I'm saying, though, is that he needs to have perfect rhetoric that appeals across like 4 or 5 demographics.
What you need somebody who's popular with the South, with the Black vote. You need somebody who's got a proven track record, someone who's shown they can succeed in government, somebody who's fucking epic and based, and somebody who, need I remind you, in 2028, is going to be coming off of a 4-year vacation, who's already been president one time, Joe Biden. 2028. That's my guy right there.
Based. Okay. No, I'm with it.
So when I hear that,
or at least his body double.
How about Hunter Biden? Hunter Biden.
I'm from the great state of Kentucky, so Andy Bashir unironically sounds.
Hunter Biden is the GOAT.
He should be president. Hunter Biden 2028, baby.
I hate you guys. I hate you so much.
I just want to say really quick, I wanted to get this panel sparked. I told RGR before this it was going to be boring because we all agree, so I targeted Destiny on purpose to start the fire. Wow, so I want everyone to be happy we got some entertainment. But I will defend Kyle Kalinske.
I knew you were gay.
My boy. Kyle Kalinske, but Kyle Kalinske takes Ukraine's side. Crystal Ball takes Russia's side. So I mean, she does do that. That's a big thing right there. But I think Kyle Kalinski's principled. He's a little goofy sometimes, but I think he's a good dude. The other ones I don't really care about. Vanguard, disgusting. Hassan, disgusting. All that kind of stuff. But my concern is being too dismissive of the left rhetoric, not because of just appealing to the left, but because low propensity, low information voters, they like the message of being anti-war. That's why Trump lied about it. They like the message of universal health care. Many Trump supporters that call into my show, I guarantee I talk to more Trumpers than all of you, even Destiny. I do this dumbass show with my phone number on YouTube Shorts, so I hear a bunch of the Jim Dobbs,
Are you the guy that does the YouTube Shorts? I think I've seen your content.
Yeah, the Appalachia Crackers. The Appalachia Crackers are wild. But yeah, those appeals matter for independents as well. That's why why you'll see like an AOC get a lot of crossover vote from like the Trump voters. It's not because of ideological reasons. They just like hearing the narrative of the elites versus like, you know, the elites versus the establishment. So if we can get someone like John Ossoff, I think is doing a really good job being a more center politician who is also adopting a campaign centered on anti-corruption. I don't know if like Wick would be okay with like a John Ossoff as a centrist, but yeah.
I don't mind.
I think generally what we need to focus on is, well, yeah, that the just anti-corruption narrative. And also, like, if you look at the top reasons people voted for Trump was like gas prices, egg prices. People are concerned about getting by and just living and existing and like feeding their fucking families. And I also think like for the younger part of the base and even part of like MAGA or centrists, they don't want to be told what to do or what they can't say. They don't want to be censored. They want to be able to say retard and smoke weed and tweet out edgy tweets. And they like this narrative, I think, that Gavin Newsom's putting out. Like they're
Conor,
drawn.
someone mentioned John Ossoff. You didn't say Jew, just so you know, you forgot.
I have a question for the panel.
My Jewish radar is off.
I got a question for the panel. This is something that's going on in my mind. Is Trump an anomaly? Like, does the Democrats really need a Trump for the Democratic Party? Like, after Trump, I don't think there's any unifying factor, like, after Trump.
I disagree.
So,
the unifying
does there need to be someone equivalent to Trump on the Democratic Party, or just someone large enough that they can beat the Republican Party in 2028?
So,
like Obama, too.
If I may.
Obama. We need a second Obama.
No, if I may. I think that it's a mistake to think that Trumpism will die with Trump. I don't think so. I think that the right largely has a common enemy that they have nominated Trump as the strongest soldier to be against, right? But I think that they will still have that common enemy, the what they consider the leftist, right? And that boogeyman will continue to be ginned up. So I don't think when Trump either dies or when Trump stops running again, I don't think Trumpism dies with him. That's my opinion.
The reason what made Donald Trump so successful in like politics in general is because like even though he's like a completely newcomer, how he was able to appeal to young people was like he had an image behind him. Like even before he entered politics, like he was already world famous for being like a billionaire who was around with a supermodel wife who was like around a lot of beautiful women. And the last time that happened was with the Republicans during Reagan. Like there was like a cult. People wanted to be this guy. People want to be Donald Trump. Everyone, people look up to Trump as like someone they want to model their life after, and that's that's how a good portion of young voters decided that they were going to vote for Trump.
But I want to back north real quick though. Number one, I think Trumpism is held together by duct tape right now. I think that there's two bases within the techno-feudalist category. I think there's two bases within the immigration category. I think there's two bases within like the economics category. And so as a result, when Trump goes, if JD Vance is the successor, he's going to try to skinwalk Trump's talking points, but he's going to be more of a technocrat. And so I actually feel like the Democrats, Trump didn't like win the last two elections that he won. The Democrats lost it. And that's because Hillary Clinton is uniquely uncharismatic. And then Joe Biden was recovering from an anemic economy. So if you actually have a charismatic, young, interesting, cool, rhetorically gifted person, I actually think the Democrats have a strong chance of winning in 28.
I think hold on. All right, sorry. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Who? JD Vance killed Trump. JD Vance killed Trump for when he dies. Like JD Vance did it for Peter Thiel to install the Antichrist. Yeah, that's the story.
First it was the Pope. Now it's Trump.
I think people you can't underestimate the impact that the Republican Party has had for a long time. Like they've done a special job at attacking and fighting with the Democratic establishment. Like it didn't just start now with Trump, right? Yeah, it was Gore. It was Gore sacrificing the election for no reason. It was losing a Supreme Court pick to the Republican Senate to McConnell. This has been in the works for a long time. It was the Ken Starr fishing expedition to find Monica Lewinsky and a civil testimony deposition from Bill Clinton. Like they've been working on these people for a long time. To say that Hillary Clinton was, uniquely unqualified compared to Donald Trump is probably the biggest argument in favor of DEI that I've ever seen in my entire life. Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton.
Uncharismatic.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, you can say that. I guess it just depends on what you've been prepared for. Like for Republicans, if you've been consuming like literal diarrhea your entire life, if your idea of like a well put together speaker is Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity or Michael Savage, then of course Donald Trump, the guy who says you're fired, might come off as like an intellectual or charismatic guy to you. And I mean, like he is like kind of funny, but so is the dude who sells drugs outside the gas station, outside the 7-Eleven in my apartment. But I wouldn't want the guy as fucking president. It takes a special kind of preparation to create a group of people dumb enough to accept the guy who makes some funny jokes as the leader of the free world twice.
You don't need to be funnier than everyone in the country. You need to be funnier than the person that you're running against.
To piggyback off of what like Destiny said, and like we need like, do we put like a career politician? I think we do, but like a lot of people don't like career politicians.
Yeah, but they say that, but they only know they don't like them because that's what they like, whatever they're told to like. That's another uncomfortable thing. Nobody wants to see the voters, but that's the case. Like people will say that they have feelings about a thing, but they don't. They don't feel any way about fucking anything. Remember, what did we elect Donald Trump on for the economy, and now he's fucking raping it with tariffs? And what did we elect Donald Trump on for no new wars, and now we're about to rename the DOD to the Department of fucking War? Whereas like the same people who were like no wars, no wars, no wars, like it was like an actual 1984 moment, switching their hats out to celebrate that we bombed Iran. Like there's no consistency whatsoever. So to try to analyze this from some policy perspective, I think it's a lost cause.
Yeah, Trump could
Destiny,
easily run on I've been in politics for 30 years because he has been, and said this actually gives me a much better insight because I've been trying in campaigns, I know what works, and then everyone would have voted for him anyway.
We've got a guy
has
who's
nothing to do with him saying I'm not
a billionaire real estate mogul from New York who was already president for 4 years, is president again with his whole cabinet, and they're still talking about the deep state. How deep does it go?
Hey, Destiny, do you think that?
Okay, hold on. All right. Actually, now for real, let's chill for a second. We're coming up on 2 hours. We're gonna start winding down. All right. And also, we are completely afield of the original topic, but it was interesting, so I let it go. And before I go around, so what I'll do in a second, I'm gonna go around and I will ask people. They can shout themselves out and give like their final thoughts on the initial topic or anything that we've talked about. And also for people who are watching this now or thereafter, and you feel like, oh, there's a lot of people who generally agreed on a lot of stuff on the initial topic on the panel. I tried. If people want to come on these panels in the future, or if you want to see other perspectives, I'm trying to keep this pretty flexible and open so that more people can be able to come on. So that's I'm putting it a little bit on you, but I'm trying. And then also just in the nature of panels, because this came up earlier, I want to say this, even though there was some interesting conversations, some interesting back and forth, like there are some things that I thought were entertaining. So thank you all for that. And thank you for making it entertaining. I think that these panels are also very important because it's how smaller creators are able to get seen. Like we have 5 small creators here: Vincent, Corbin, North, She's Right, and No Echo Chambers. It's probably the first time many of you have been on a panel at all.
Yeah, this is my first scheduled panel. That is
first one too. Hope I didn't do too bad.
I've been on a few.
You're fantastic. All right. So I think that these are important for that, and you're able to connect with larger creators, and also and they can be fun, and hopefully they'll be more fun in the future. But I generally enjoy them, and I think that they're a cool thing about the online political space. Okay, so now with that said, I will go around and I'll start from I'll do a reverse order that I did for introductions at the beginning. So No Echo Chambers. Final thoughts and shout out your socials if you want to.
Okay, yeah, No Echo Chambers on YouTube and on TikTok, and No Echo YT on X, which is Twitter. I still call it Twitter. X is a horrible name. The reason I was on here is because I wanted to get to meet some new people tonight. And if any of you guys want to work on some content or get interviewed, I do interview content. I interview content creators in the political space and politicians and aspiring politicians. Definitely check out my channel. I'll try to see if I can get as much people as I can, as much interviews as I can. If you want to tell your story, I'm a great platform to do it. I'm willing to talk to anybody about anything, and I would love to be on another panel like this again too, because I know it seemed like I agreed with a lot of you guys, which I do for the most part, but there's some disagreements I have with some of the creators. Like I know Destiny, we have some disagreements on some issues. You have no idea who I am, and neither do any of you guys. I know if you guys want to debate or talk about anything, or get interviewed, hit me up. I'll interview you guys and tell your story.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about this. Now you're known. Congratulations. All right, She's Right. Go ahead.
Are we all obligated to do a clout chasing shout out to Destiny directly? It's just
you don't have to. You can do whatever you want.
Half of you all through this. I'll give a vote. Donate to stjude.org because fuck cancer, real and online. If you go to she'sright.com, I sell a cool hat.
Thank you, thank you. North, go ahead.
Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel. I'll be live streaming after this if I'll be doing call-ins, or if anyone wants to talk with me about whatever we were talking about before, add me on Discord and we can go do a call after this debate panel. You can find me on X at That Guy's North. I give pretty cringe opinions online, but you know, they're fun. And then I gotta go take a piss. So next person, I suggest you go.
All right, sounds good. Corbin, go ahead.
Yeah, I do like center left political stuff. I guess you can check out my channel. Almost 200 subs, so I'm getting clouded up, bitch. You can, in terms of content, you can check out a big IRL interview I just did with Riley, Conor, Dylan was there as well. Check that out, or you can check out my IRL Pang Burn debate with Destiny if he even remembers that, because you know. But no, just check my stuff out. Thanks for having me. And in terms of conclusion of the general topics, yeah, the liberal left, not the socialist left, needs to do better at getting our shit together. We need to build a better coalition, kind of plant our feet a little bit firmer into the ground, and messaging wise, make people understand like we're the core of this party. Either you're on board with our stuff or you can get the fuck off.
Cool. Vincent, go ahead.
Hello. I just want to say I think Democrats should definitely take money. When Republicans are taking money literally from Russia with Tenet, I think it's definitely fair for Democrats to take money. And my socials are, as I said before, Real Visigoth on everywhere. And thank you for having me.
Yep. Wick, go ahead.
Yeah, Wick from Wick TV. You know what? I like being on panels a lot, and I usually host them, so it's nice to be able to, be on one. So yeah, if you guys want to invite me to panels, I'd be happy to join you. I'll say this at the end. I think that we need, and I said this during the panel, but it bears repeating. Liberals just need to be proud to be liberals again, and we need to stand firm our principles. We answer the question. We are the solution to the problem. We answer the question, how do we live with each other when we have such divergent opinions, divergent ideologies? A liberal foundation and a liberal order is the best solution we have that will allow for human flourishing in a way no other ideology, not leftism, not socialism, not any kind of ism, right, does. Liberalism is where it's at. It is the end of history. If you like what I say, you can come to my channel. We are doing a Thursday chorus debate, right, that I set up before all this, right, with Soy Pill, with Hutch, and they're going to be fighting Prime Kai and Fabian Liberty and another guy, and that should be fun. Tune in. Thanks for having me, RGR. It was really fun, and I'd love to be on this again. Bye.
No problem, Wick. Thank you for joining us. Jola.
My channel is Jola Politics, JOLAH Politics. I typically take call-ins from MAGA using an actual phone number on YouTube Shorts. So think of like Dean on TikTok, but with actual life experience. And I had a very traumatic childhood, so I had to grow up earlier. So I'm 25, but I'm also plus 10. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm used to talking to MAGA, so that's what I usually do. I used to be a reaction YouTuber, but that shit's cringe. I don't want to be the vanguard, although I do want their money. And I am jealous of their clout and money that they get from doing their bullshit. But yeah, I really appreciate this panel. Thank you for having me on. I'm sorry if I jumped the gun switching the topics like that. I thought it'd be fun since we were a little bit stagnant at that point. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be on again. And anyone that wants to connect, definitely feel free to reach out. I love the conversation on the far left becoming more realistic and pragmatic, and also the center becoming a little bit more populist framed to make sure we can get those low propensity voters. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I added all of you guys on Discord, by the way, as friends. I sent a friend request to everybody here. So
cool. Anne, go ahead.
Sure. Like I said at the beginning, my name is Anne. I go by Leftist Blondie on most social media platforms, on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I also have a YouTube. It'll be in any of my link trees and my bios. Find final thoughts on this. I think it was a good panel. I think it was a little overcrowded. If you guys want to invite me back to smaller panels, I'd love that. And I'm willing to talk with anybody on here. Just send me a DM or a friend request. I think that leftists need to all be like me and suck it up and work with liberals and realize they're friends, not food. Other than that, yeah, make leftist content. If you donate to the Act Blue link in my bio, I might send you my bathwater. So.
All right, Connor, go ahead.
I don't know how I could follow that. So anyways, in summary, I think what I took away from Steven's perspective, which I think is an actionable item, is that when you see leftists do cringe stuff that doesn't seem productive for the party, you say, they're not part of our party. They're not part of our coalition. They have horseshoed so far that they're more useful to the right than they are to the left. But when it comes to the audience members, you reach out to the audience members as good faith as you possibly can, so you convert as many of them into incrementalism, harm reduction, coalition building, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing that I would say is that as a never Trump Republican, somebody who has probably more sexually, socially, economically conservative views than almost everybody else except for North here, I don't think you guys can do it. You guys are shit shows, you're pussies, you're liberals, you're weak, you can't do anything. So no balls. I want you to prove me wrong. So please prove me wrong by being productive and focusing on goals and attacking them aggressively. If you want to check my stuff out, check out Counterpoints 40K, Counterpoints Common Spelling 40K. That's my Warhammer channel. If you like what I said in reference to politics, check out Counterpoints Politics. Also check out Valor Media Network, VALOR, Media Common Spelling Network Common Spelling. I parasocially love you, and thank you for having me.
Ouch. Hurtful, Connor, but lovingly. Appreciate it.
Yes.
The soy pill, go ahead.
Connor, if you want to look more strong and also get a better Judar, talk to me later. I can help you with both of those things. If
Excellent.
any dark money groups are listening, my email is thesoypill@gmail.com. Please reach out. I want more money. Overall, if you want to give money to something else, I have a Cars for Ukraine fundraiser if you want to help fight back against Russia, and also a working with the Unfuck America tour that Z is organizing. So both of those links are in my description. And I happen to find someone who actually wants to argue for the article, which I will be doing in 2 minutes. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And Z, actually, that's a great transition. Shout yourself out. Outro, thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, so social media is all Z to the Hill. You can catch me right now on Twitter. Please follow me, arguing directly with Taylor Lorenz, who's too pussy to be on this panel, but she'll quote tweet people with 3,000 followers. That's great use of productive time. And shout out to Destiny's Chat, DGGP. They are awesome volunteers. And please donate to us at unfuckamericatour.com.
Awesome. And that just leaves Steven. People know who you are, but you have your, do your outro, your thoughts. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think we should cast aside the socialists and communists and be strong liberals. I also think we should make better choices with our sci-fi universes. I don't know why people fixate so much on the Warhammer 40K universe. It's just a giant franchise made to sell toys. Every game is fixated around humans, which are the most boring people. Imperium of Man is bad. We get it. Wow, it's like so one-dimensional. Like, pick a real franchise like Halo or StarCraft.
Like Halo?
True.
Amazing. Well, hey, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you all. Yeah. And if you want to participate in the next panel, which is likely going to be on whether or not Trump is physically and mentally fit to continue serving as president, you can join the Discord this is being held in at linktree/Riley Grace Rochong. Do it. If you want more disagreement, if you want to argue with some of these fine people on here, many of whom have already expressed interest in being on that panel, fucking join. Fucking DM me. Do it. Yeah, and that's it.
Cool.
All right. Good night, everybody, and have a great night.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Fuck, I'm tired. Okay. I love you guys. It's been fun. Oh, man. 9 hours stream. I might have to take a 3-day break after this one, boys. We'll see. Jesus. That was just, what a day. Ripiano, Cappuccino, Pappuccino, Hoppuccino, Mappuccino, Cappuccino, Cappuccino, Appuccino, my dears. I will catch you guys next. Streamer, be careful.